Hi everyone! Welcome back to Finding Equilibrium. We're back, baby. And we're here with Rena, Chris, me, Lainey, and my fiance, Corey. And today we're going to be talking about the importance of a positive mindset.
Yeah, the whole way that your whole mindset literally dictates everything that happens in your day to day, and the overall outcome of how anything and everything works out. It's literally the easiest thing in the world to change, but it's also the most difficult because you get stuck in the typical day to day thought process and what you kind of been used to forever. So it's hard to break out of that at first, but overall, the core of it, it's super fucking easy. And I think that it's too easy. That's why a lot of people fuck a lot of stuff up, because they're like, there's no way it could be that easy and have all this crazy shit happen, but it is. That's the kind of the, not misconception, but issue with a lot of it is that it's so easy to do that everybody overcomplicates it and fucks it all up, and then they don't get anywhere.
Well, I can speak from personal experience over the last couple of weeks that it's the easiest thing in the world after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
Once you step back and look at it, at what you were doing, and you make that decision.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also, before and during, it's the hardest thing in the world because you can't see it.
Yeah.
Because when you're in a bad place, you're thinking about everything but how to get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
You're thinking about how bad everything is, how bad it could go, how bad everything around you feels, and you don't see the one thing that you can do to change it, and that is just decide that it's going to be better,
Mm-hmm.
and that you're going to be better, and that
Yeah.
everything's going to be okay. So it is the simplest and the hardest thing all in one.
It's kind of like being stuck in your mind, and like you have to, like I've explained this to you with certain situations that we speak about. You have to physically remove yourself from the situation that you're in. I don't mean like physically with your body. You have to physically remove your mind and you being in the situation and see the situation from like your physical being is here and said situation is here. You have to take your mind out of it and let your mind see the situation you're in for what the situation is and figure out how to move forward with whatever said situation is. You just have to physically remove your mind from the situation in order to see the situation for what it is. It doesn't mean that it's that you're fully taking yourself out of the situation. You're taking a step back, you're trying to figure it out, you're mulling through whatever is going on in said situation or life or I don't know, work, whatever. And you're like, okay, well, what is my next step? Okay, if I do this, it could turn out A, B, and C way, but if I do this, it could turn out D and F way. Like, you just have to remove yourself from it to see it, and that's the hard part, because when you're in it, you're in it. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's one of those things that it takes, unfortunately, a life event happening for you to realize that, oh shit, I'm in the thick of a situation. I can't get myself out of it. I need to take a step back in my mind to see the situation for what it is, to try and figure out how to get myself, my physical being, out of that situation.
Well, I can piggyback off of that because, like I was speaking about earlier, and it took me to get scared of losing someone to shock my mind and think a different way than I'd ever thought before. And, you know, it was one of the scariest things that I've ever been through, and it wasn't like scary like, you know, demons or, you know, something that scares you, but it scared me to my core of losing the one thing that I
The
don't
wake up call.
want to lose.
Mm-hmm.
And it's crazy because I spent all the time thinking about how bad I was feeling, thinking about how bad everything was, how everything always went wrong, and I got stuck in that trench with really high walls, and the only thing that you can see is what you're dealing with right now. And it was just everything was bad, gonna be bad because it's bad, and it just like stacked on top of itself. And I just let that trench turn into a fully enclosed There was no sunlight. It was just all
It's like a
closed in
hole.
around me. And it's a tunnel that you're going through, and you can't see outside of it until, you get that wake-up call. And like I was talking about earlier, nothing has changed about what I'm dealing with and how I feel and the struggles that I'm going through. The only thing that has changed, because the struggles are here, and I was looking at it from here at how bad everything was. Oh, woe is me all the time. I changed that mindset, and I'm still dealing with the same problem, but I'm on the other side now, and I'm looking at it completely differently. And I'm looking at it not like, oh, how crappy this is, oh, how bad this is. I'm looking at it it's there, I know it's there, I need to deal with it, but I'm not going to let it consume me. So I wake up every day now, and I don't think about the bad things. I try to find the good things, and that was something that she brought out of me, that you brought out of me. To take a step back and don't think about the bad, think about the good. And that is nothing changed but my brain, my mind, and what I chose to put inside of it. Because it is crazy what your brain can do.
This is an example that Rena gave me for literally ever ago, probably the 11 years that we've been together. But so, and I still randomly do it. Lainey has heard me do it, and you probably giggle. I don't know. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But I'll pay attention. I'm driving, so if you're giggling, I don't know. But when you go through a green light, always say thank you. And like I used to think, dang, like I just got stuck at this red light. I'm gonna be late for work.
I'm just getting in front of you a little bit.
Okay. I'm stuck at this red light. I'm gonna be late for work. Blah 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 blah. Well, there was a reason that you were stuck at the red light.
Right.
And, I've seen it firsthand, and I'll never forget. Me and my grandparents were on the way back from the Apple Festival in Hendersonville. This was years ago. And it was me and my family. I'm not going to go into who all it was. It's irrelevant. But we were all in the van together. And I'm like, dang, we are like 5 minutes from the house. And I'm like, why are the people in front of me going so... Grandpa was driving. Like, why are the people in front of us going so slow? Like, I just want to get home. I've been in the car forever. I've been walking around forever. I am tired of just being in the car and walking around. Like, I want to relax. I want to be away from people for a little while. I just want to get home. And I was laying back in my seat. Like, I was sitting in the front seat, the passenger seat, and I was laying back in the seat. And the next thing I know, I sit myself up. And I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, okay, like, what is the problem? Like, why are these people going 2 miles per hour? And the car directly in front of us got smacked head on. And I'm like, that could have been us. If we were going faster, that could have been us. Thankfully, the people are okay. They got an ambulance. Everything was good. No one was severely injured on either parties. But everything was fine. But you just think about it, like, if you're stuck at a red light, like, why are you stuck at a red light? Well, it may be none of your business as to why you're stuck at a red light. It could be because you're supposed to be stuck at a red light. It could be because of, a million different reasons. But when you get through a red light, and you're physically through the red light, straight, right, left, whatever way you're going, you made it through the red light. Like, someone did not hit you. You made it through the red light. Thank you. And I know Reno does that. Also, I say it in the car with the kid, and the kid just looks at me like, Mom, what are you thinking the red light for? Like, yeah, it's a green light, of course, but they're just called a red light. But it's a green light, and the kid's just looking at me like, Mom, why are you thinking the green light? It's kind of funny. But, trying to explain it to a 4-year-old is not always easy. But that's the point. Like, when you're going through the light, it's just a simple thank you. And it sounds so silly to tell a red light or a green light, green light is what I'm trying to say here. Thank you. But you made it through it. And also you're putting that positive energy out there. And a lot of people go, positive energy and religion, and that's not the podcast, this is not the podcast that we're comparing the two. But for the example.
But you can. I went down that rabbit hole.
Let's
no,
not.
I'm saying we could save that for a different podcast. And we can, absolutely. We can save that for a different podcast. But point being, you're you're putting out what you're receiving. If you're
Exactly.
consistently putting out negative energy that is consuming you, of course all you're going to see in front of you is negative, because that's what you're putting out. You're never going to see the positive because you're not allowing yourself to see it. You're not allowing yourself to see, you woke up today, you have a roof over your head, you have a job, you have money to pay your bills because you have a job, you have a vehicle, you are healthy, you have food on the table, you don't want for anything. Those are simple everyday things that we in general as humans take for granted. But when you sit back and think about it and you're like, dang, those are everyday things, but I'm actually very lucky to be functioning and have all of those things.
I can tell you, 2 weeks ago, I would have disagreed with you because I was stuck in that perpetual cycle of looking at everything and just seeing the bad, and I would have disagreed with you. But now I've seen it. I've seen it happen on like day 2 of me just deciding that I'm going to be better, that things are going to be better, and I'm going to look at everything better. And I come home and I looked at her and I said, how in the world has like these good things, all these good things that happened to me today, how did that happen? And she said, they've always been happening.
Yep.
You just couldn't see them because you were focused on how bad you felt, how everything was going wrong, how you couldn't get a win, and you had all these wins right in front of you and you just couldn't see them. And it didn't click to me until I stepped back and I realized, like, yeah, you can make victories and good for yourself every day out of the smallest things.
Yeah.
Like,
And if you put them blinders on and you just want to sit in your own suffering and your own misery, no matter what you do, it will always feel like you're losing, like you're sliding backwards, like you're not going anywhere, like you're not accomplishing anything. Like for me, it's just been, I've been tired a lot. I've been not feeling great. My body just feels like it's not agreeing with me, and I let that consume my life. I let it become who I was, and I let it become every minute of every day, and it took away from everybody around me. It took away from the good things that I have that I should be thankful and grateful for. And it's so mind-boggling to me to be on the other side and look back and be pretty disappointed in myself that you could end up letting your mind do that. But your mind is a powerful place, and it can do you very well, but it can also be your worst enemy. And I've seen both sides of that, and it really puts everything into perspective that you could change your entire life without anything even changing other than you just wake up and just say, that's it, enough's enough. Like, today's the day. I'm not doing that anymore. And that's all you have to do. And it was, I never would have thought that. And you won't until you do it for yourself. Like me talking about it, anybody that hears this could just think I'm full of shit because I was that person that would hear somebody talking about this and think you're full of shit. You have to decide it on your own. There's something in your life that will trigger it. There is some event, there is some thing that will happen to you that will change your mind before you even could recognize that it was about to happen, because it did for me in a split second. I had one thought that I'd never had before. I was worried about something that I had never been worried about before because it was something that I don't want to say I took for granted, but it was something that I just thought was a for sure thing that would never be in jeopardy no matter what I did. I felt like I could do no wrong until I had the thought that maybe I am doing some wrong. And I might not be in trouble right now, but if I continue down this path, the damage might be irreversible. I might do something that cannot be undone. I might say something that can't be unsaid. I might act a way that I can't unact. There's just, you have that one pivotal moment where you have a fork in front of you, and you can either continue on the path that you're on or you can change it, because there's a reason why you ended up at that fork, because there's a decision to be made. That happened to me, and I'm forever grateful that it did, because I was going down the wrong path in my own head, and I was letting it dictate every aspect of my life. And I look at where I was going now with, it scares me because I don't know what it would have caused or what it would have cost me more than anything. And I don't even want to think about that anymore because I didn't even realize how bad everything had gotten and how I had let everything slip out from under my feet the way that it did, because you don't realize, you think you're not doing anything wrong, and you think everything's just, that you're being normal, that you're just dealing with, I'm dealing with my own stuff, I'm dealing with my shit, everybody's got stuff that they're going through, but
Right.
if you let it seep into every aspect, especially when it's negative thinking, if you let it soak up that sponge, like imagine you're a sponge, if you let that negative soak up that sponge, if there's any positive, there's no room left for it. So you have to decompress from time to time. You have to empty out the sponge every once in a while so that you can have room for, and I'm not saying that changing your mindset to be more positive is not, you're not going to have bad things happen. You're not going to have bad days. You're not going to, have those negative thoughts, but it's how you react to them and how you handle them and how you move through them and work on the problem. That's how I'm taking my days now. I'm taking it one day at a time, and I'm facing every challenge that comes across me with a positive mindset that I can handle it and that I'm going to do my best every day to put one foot in front of the other and get better and be better. And I'm going to work on myself because I did a lot of woeing around and wallowing in the self-pity, and instead of all that, I think now about all the time that I wasted feeling that way, that I could have changed it.
But also, so I started learning about positive mindset and all that shit back in.
We added Sissy or Mia to the podcast.
Yeah,
Say hello.
Because if I didn't pick her up, she'd sit at the gate and bang on it the entire time. But I mean, I started learning about all this back in 2005, 2006, and at the time I was like, this is horse shit, whatever, just kind of shrugged it off. And then I don't remember what happened. A year and a half after, I reread the Secret, which I would never recommend to anybody now. Back then it was like the fucking gospel to me, but now it's so shit because I've gotten a lot deeper into all of it. But
It's still a good book.
it's still a good book, but it's
I was putting it out there for anyone who is interested
no,
or
yeah.
is reading it.
Let me
today.
preface,
I think it's
100%.
horrible.
You should definitely read it. It's a great starting place. It's not the end all. Use that to dip your toes in, and then dive into other shit. But I mean, now it's like you were talking about. It's because the whole principle behind all this, and of course, I'll probably go off on a fucking tangent, and get super deep with all this shit. But at the surface level of it, the only thing that matters is your awareness and your identity. Those are the only two things that really fucking do anything for you. So like you said, the way that you viewed your problems were off in left field of the woe is me, everything fucking sucks. Misery.
Why has this happened to me? Of course this is happening to me.
Then all it took was making the decision to not only just come at it as a positive mindset, but also now you're aware of, and I can say this because I've been in that position too, of how fucking stupid that is to sit here and wallow in self-pity over shit that is exactly what you asked for 2 years ago. Perfect example is your job. Before you started here, you were working 12 hours in a factory, sweating your balls off by fucking 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, hating life because that shit sucks. You wanted something different, and you got it making more money. And I mean, let's be honest here, you don't work very hard. You have days that you work hard, but overall you're not killing yourself. So you got exactly what you wanted,
Not
but
doing manual labor
being
every day
stuck
either.
in that headspace, it does not matter. That shit's out the window. You're still in the same place of being miserable, just in a different environment.
And it's crazy to look at that and think that because, I was so miserable with my job, I just tried to pin it on my job and what I was doing. And I don't even think I was that bad back then. I think it really snowballed. And then it felt like when I got into this new job, I thought that was just going to fix everything. But how could it have? Looking at it now, how could that? Because it wasn't my environment. It wasn't what I was doing. And that me changing jobs and getting where I wanted to be wasn't it. Now I see it was just me and the way that I was handling those things and how I was looking at everything. And I was the center of everything. But of course, whoever wants to admit that, you're never going to until, like I said, you're going to have a moment. You're going to have something that happens. You're going to have somebody say something to you that catches your attention finally, or you're going to have a thought that you've never had before, or you're going to be afraid to lose something that you thought beyond a shadow of a doubt 100%, no matter what I do, I'll never lose.
Tired of your own bullshit.
I mean, I was tired.
That's where I got.
I was tired of my own bullshit too, but I was so blinded to see that it was my bullshit that I was tired of.
That's, like I said, it kind of goes hand in hand with your awareness and identity. Now that your awareness shifted, you realize that it wasn't your environment, it was your identity. You were identifying as somebody that was in that headspace, that was miserable, that was not happy with wherever. So it didn't matter where you went, you'd still carry those traits. But you made the shift and now you're consciously aware of it. So now is when a lot of people are like, oh, this is so difficult because, like, of course, like you said, you're going to have shitty days. Yeah, when it comes to all this stuff, especially, like, and I'll probably jump into it because I can't help it, when it comes to, like, manifestation and, like, working and selecting the life that you want to live and the things that you have and every aspect of it, a lot of people get it misconstrued that, like, because that's a big thing that I'm all about is manifestation and all that. Because at the end of the day, you're in complete control over every aspect of your life. The amount of money you have, the relationships you have, your health, every little thing is you're co-creating with everything else, with God, with the universe, however you want to put it out there. You're in the driver's seat navigating all this, but getting stuck in the rut of the perpetual thinking of everything is against me, then all you're going to experience is more of that because
and it's
that's all that you
so
see.
Crazy because it just happens.
Mm-hmm.
You have no idea that that's what's happening.
It's like autopilot.
It just, no, I explained it to her one day. I was like, you ever seen that movie Click with Adam Sandler? Mm-hmm. Where he got the remote control that could control his life, and it learned his habits, and then it just sped through his whole life.
That's exactly how it is.
And he had no control over what it would skip, what it would do, how it would handle everything. That's how I've looked back, and that's how I felt about, like, the last 4 years, 5 years of my life. Because you don't just for whatever reason, your brain does not perceive that that's what's happening because it's your brain and your mind that's doing it. Mm-hmm. So it's not going to, like, be like, hey, dude, this is what I'm about to do. Are you sure you want to do this? It just does it. You end up in this, headspace, and you have no idea that it's happening. And you still think, like, oh, I'm good. Everything's good. I'm fine. I'm still acting the way that I always have. I'm still the same person that I always was. But you're not. Mm-hmm. And you have to be able to, like, I am different. I have changed. Mm-hmm. I am doing wrong. I'm not thinking correctly. But like I said, it's the easiest thing in the world because all you have to do is decide. Well, but it's the hardest thing in the world because you have to realize it.
So the whole reason that, what?
I was going to say, you have a tattoo on your arm that no one can see, but...
Which I wish that I could change it to select, not create, because you're not creating shit, it's already here.
But the point of what I was...
I still like it. I still think it makes sense.
Oh, yeah,
that's
just me.
Your reality.
That's just me.
Because you 100% can do that.
Well, it's not even that you can. That's the only way that it happens. Yeah. Like, there's no other predictable, so, like...
You're not doing this to me.
Exactly.
She didn't choose this for me. She didn't choose this for me. Everything that has happened, I have nothing and nobody to be mad at or upset with but myself.
Well, not only
And that's
that,
a
you don't
hard thing
even-
to admit, and I think that's a big step. Is
Oh,
just
admitting
saying,
Well, I mean,
is the
that's-
hard
like,
step.
hey,
That's
I made a mistake. I fucked up really bad.
And that's the major thing is that that's what holds a lot of people back because like you were saying that like it kind of just came out of nowhere of how you got stuck in this routine because I can guarantee you how long have you been at your new job for?
Almost
A
a year.
year.
It'll be a
Okay,
year
so let's say 2
in
years ago. I
4 days.
So let's say 2 years ago, when you had your typical work schedule, how easy, if you look back, how easy would it be able to say 2 years ago today you went back in time? How easy would it be for 3 weeks from now? You can lay out your entire week 3 weeks from now of what you would do every day. How easy would that be for you?
Yeah, that's pretty easy
Yeah.
because I would
So
do
you get
the
stuck
same
in-
stuff
you get
every
stuck in
day, every
predictable- in the
week.
predictable
Yep.
future because it all comes back to like evolution of biology, however the fuck you want to look at it. Like take it back to when we were like living in caves and hunting and foraging and all that shit.
Rabbit hole.
Well, I mean, this is where it pulls
Yeah.
from
Yeah, I
of
was
why
thinking
getting
Because
We're
back
going
then they
all
had
the way.
no idea what their day was
So
going to be
they,
in store.
They knew that we'll say like we're in a big ass valley and there's like a hill over here, but there's another valley that splits off into two ways. We know that over here is a great place to get all of our needs and do whatever. Over there, two villages over, somebody got eaten by a saber-toothed tiger over here, so we know stay the fuck away from there. You have no idea if it's anything other than if it was just a one-time thing, but you don't know that thing could have been like the Garden of Eden, but since it was told stay away from there, somebody got eaten by a saber-toothed tiger, it's a collective understanding and knowledge of that place is off limits because it's meant to keep you safe. So like the unpredictable and not knowing needed to be weeded out because it was life or death back then. Shit's no different now except we're not getting eaten by fucking animals when we're going to work. So instead your mind cannot comprehend the unknown because it goes back to biology wise that it's fight or flight, it's life or death.
Well,
So
since
now-
that time in the world to where we are now, humans have become creatures of habit,
Mhm.
and it's a comfort thing.
Yeah.
I
So
I
now-
can guarantee you that every single one of us at some point has not done something that maybe we wanted to do that probably would have ended up being a good thing and working out in our favor, but it was a risk. So you kind of get hesitant on it because you're comfortable. And humans, it's a survival instinct, I think,
No, that's all
to
it is.
remain in your comfort zone.
Because
But
it's all
that's
about
why
pattern
no
recognition
success
and all
has
that.
ever been without somebody stepping outside of their comfort zone and taking a risk.
And that's the big thing is like it's all pattern recognition because your brain recognizes patterns of okay, I'm comfortable, I'm safe, I'm gonna be here tomorrow, I'm peachy. We're just gonna stay on this straight and narrow the entire way, and that's it. It doesn't matter if it's uncomfortable or you're not happy. Your brain knows
This
that.
is what I'm used to.
Yeah, and that's all that it's gonna keep.
I'm
doing.
not gonna die.
Yep, and that's
I'm
all
getting-
that it cares about.
I'm getting the fuel that I need,
Mhm.
and this can be maintained,
Yeah.
no matter the comfort level.
Yeah, because you know, for example, let's say you have a shitty day at work and your brain's like, this fucking sucks. Well, I know once I get off work, I'm going to be able to tune it out and
Yep.
sit at my desk or sit on the TV or do whatever. We're good to go. I know I can expect what's going to happen tomorrow, so I'm good.
Please
So-
don't sit on the TV.
Sit and watch, you know what I mean.
Your
Well-
brain gets in your brain does everything that it can to keep you out of fight or flight mode.
You were your either A, worst enemy
Or your best friend.
Or your biggest supporter. The only person that can change your life is literally you. No one else in the entire world can do it for you. Even if someone gives you the tools to do so, doesn't mean
Oh,
you're
yeah.
going to use them.
Absolutely.
Or even if someone says, hey, you're going to die if you don't do X, Y, and Z. Not saying any
Right.
situation is relevant to that, but life or death situation here we're speaking of, you're going to die if you don't do
This is how
this.
we don't have listeners because their eardrums explode.
Boom. We just lost some eardrums.
Sorry, I wasn't trying to do that. But you have to make that decision.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, am I gonna step off the cliff because there's a tiger chasing after me, or am I gonna go run that way and try to climb up that tree? Like you, silly, very, very
It's a real tall
silly, very silly. Whatever. correlation there. Example. But
it's true. It is so true.
yes, you have to figure out what your step is, and the only way for you to do that is to take a step back from the situation and see it for what it is. I mean, everybody has at some point in their life been in said situation, that they have to make that decision. And unfortunately, most people, like you both said, are very comfortable in their day to day that they don't want to step out of their comfort zone. If stepping out
Even
of your
if you're
comfort
not comfortable.
zone, exactly.
Even if it's an uncomfortable.
But you're comfortable in the uncomfortable.
Yeah. It's just because your brain wants you to maintain that routine.
Yes.
Because your brain feels like you're safe.
But
Mhm.
stepping
That sounds like
out
it
of your
is.
comfort zone and taking that chance, taking that risk, taking that change, whatever it may be, could quite literally be the one thing that changes your life. Like every day is a new day. Every day is trial and error. There are days that you were handed the same exact bullshit every day, and there are days that are completely different than any other day. But you have to wake up and decide, how am I going to accomplish today? How am I going to be successful today? If successful means you woke up and you brushed your teeth and you put on deodorant and you brushed your hair and you haven't done that in a week, that's being successful.
I think that that's a very important thing for people to hear too, because I think a big point of failure, and I've seen myself do it, and I'm sorry I keep jumping in, but I really do believe that me and what I've been going through recently is what sparked this conversation. So obviously I have
It did.
a lot to
Yeah.
say in this realm, but I like doing it now while it's fresh, because I do have a lot of thoughts on this. But like you were saying about each day being its own thing is important for people to hear that. Like, work on today, that 24 hours, what you've got in front of you, what can you do to move forward, to progress, to get better. Because I think a lot of people fail, especially at the beginning, like where I'm at, where you've realized that you're taking missteps and that you've been wrong and that you've been in the wrong mindset, and you finally realize that, and you're like, okay, now what do? You think too big. You try to think about the big picture right off the rip. This is where I want to be. I'm working on everything to get there all at once, and you can't do that because it will overwhelm you. So I have just started with one day at a time. From the time I wake up to the time I go to bed, what can I do today that makes me better than I was yesterday? What can I do today that will make me handle myself better? What can I do today that will put me in a better mindset, that will allow me to look at the good things and be thankful for everything? I think just taking one step at a time and putting one foot in front of the other, you got to learn how to walk before you can run. And if you're trying to change your entire outlook and your whole mindset, that's what I relate it to, is you're learning how to walk again. Because you are. I mean, you spent, I'm 30 years old now, and I spent a long time in the wrong place. And that was just where I was at. I was walking, I was running, not to the right place and not for the right reasons. So that when you try to change that mindset, you got to learn how to walk again, and you can't do that too quickly. You got to just take one step at a time, and that's where I found myself now, and I think it makes it more manageable and not so overwhelming or scary in the slightest, because it's just one step. Just take a step.
And the biggest thing is for you to not get comfortable in this place, because you're being proactive. You're accomplishing today.
Mhm.
But you can't get comfortable here because this isn't your end goal.
Nope.
You have to stay focused. You have to stay motivated, whether it's physically, mentally, emotionally, whatever, all the lees there are. You have to stay focused in the now, because this can become comfortable because you are feeling good. You are feeling better. You are feeling happier and all the things about life. Here is not the place to get
Nope.
comfortable, because this place can feel very good.
Mhm.
This place can feel very easy, but it still requires work.
Well, that's why I think you would see somebody get stuck making that change, realize that they were going from a bad mindset to a good mindset, from negative to positive, get really comfortable right here, and then immediately revert right back because they did not start stepping on that ladder and getting out. I don't mean don't look at the end goal. I'm saying you can't get too big too quickly. You got to take that one step at a time, and like you're saying, don't get stuck in the like in that good feeling, and just all you did was sidestep, and you're still not going anywhere. So you are supposed to enjoy that feeling because you're better, but use it. Don't just be happy
Make
that
that
you're
your
feeling better.
fuel.
Use that to move forward. Don't stay, because if you're stagnant and negative, and then you make that change, and then you become stagnant in your positive, but you're not doing anything with it, I mean, it can be just as bad.
That's why it's also important to self-reflect, because one of the main things that we even came about the realization for you as a whole was by me just simply asking, okay, randomly, tell me one positive thing that happened to you today. And you were very thrown off about it. You're like, okay, what did you read? Did you watch one of Reno's TikToks? By the way, we'll have that in the description box for you to go watch Reno's TikToks. But he was like, where did you get this? Who did you talk to? Where did this idea come from? And I was like, just answer the question. Like, I didn't, get it from anywhere. Just tell me, like, one positive thing that happened to you today. And you couldn't really, but then when you did, I was like, you made it through the day. And you're like, okay, fine, I made it through the day.
It started rolling the ball. The ball rolled.
And then you immediately, though, right after you said that, but XYZ, then you immediately followed it with the negative, and you said, well, yeah, there's always good and there's always negative. There's always yin and yang. And I was like, well, sure, yeah, there's yin and yang and everything, but if you focus on the negative of it, then that's all you're going to ever get from it. So it's also important to self-reflect on, okay, sure, you might have had some negative things today. Great. Journal it. Write it down. Always self-reflect, even if you don't like journaling. Email it to yourself. Text it to yourself. Put it in a notes app. But go back and reflect on it, because whenever you go back, like later on down the road, like once you start realizing, okay, there is positive in it, you can go back and look on it and be like, okay, I thought that was my worst day, but in reality it wasn't. But look how far I've come of realizing, okay, it does get better. I just had to change that mindset or the tune of that.
I think that was a huge thing to bring up too, because it made me think about, like, I'm sure a lot of people could take something from what I'm about to say. You did make me say something positive about my day, but then I immediately said but. And I did this, I don't know, about 6 months ago at work. All of the guys were talking about, because they could tell I was not doing well and that I was in a bad headspace. So they even tried to do this with me. They were like, look at all the things that you have. You have a nice truck, you have a roof over your head, you have a fiance, you're happy, you should be over the moon with where your life's at right now. And I was going through that with them, and it's the same thing I did with you. It was like, yes, I have this nice truck, but it costs X amount of money a month. Yes, I have a roof over my head, but this is not where we want to be. We don't like living in an apartment. We want to buy a house, and we're not there. So I was taking those thoughts of like the things that I should be super grateful for, because I'm sure there were people in this world that would do anything to be where I'm at. Because somebody, no matter what you're doing, no matter how bad it is, somebody's got it worse. And even when I was bad, I don't like playing that game. I don't like to think like that. I don't like to think like I got it worse than anybody else, because I know I don't. But I was looking at everything being, like, even the good things, I was looking at the cost. Mm-hmm. I was looking at it like yeah, I get this, but here's the cost. Yes, I get this, but here's the cost. And when you do that in your mind, everything that you receive, the only thing that you can see is what did that just cost me? How much did this cost me? I do it sometimes at the grocery store, because we all know inflation's bad right now. I'm not getting into that. I don't want to remove the environment that we're in, but my point is, even at the grocery store, we would pay for all of our stuff that we buy, and I go, oh my God, look at how much that just costed. And it's a crazy thing to think that that little piece of your mindset of just everything, you're immediately looking at the cost. What did this cost me? What did this cost me? How did what? Not just money, but like, yes, I did this, but look at what it took from me. And I was looking at the take and the cost, and I was looking at the negative.
Yeah.
It's like a money transaction. You can look at it that way because every time that you lose money, you see it with a negative next to it, and it's in red, right? We call that being in the red. That's the red, not the green. I was looking at all the red instead of the green. I might have been coming out on top, but I was still looking at all of the negative, all of the stuff that was getting withdrawn out of me emotionally, financially. I couldn't see the things for what they meant. You know what I mean? I could not look at all the things that I do have that I should be thankful for and not worry about what it costs, because that's just how the world works. Nothing's free. Nothing's handed to you. Everything's you're gonna have to go out and work for it. You're gonna have to go get it. So I think that, people could be thinking that way and having that mindset without even realizing it, because I sure did. I had no idea that I was taking everything so literally that I was looking at it like a transaction. And that was sucking the life out of everything good that I had, because I looked at it as a transaction. This is what I got. This is what it costs. You can't look at it like that, because it will 100% drain you. And it did. It drained everything out of me looking at stuff like that.
Yeah.
Something to think of, like, most people get, anywhere from 1 to 4 paychecks a month, whether you're paid weekly, bi-weekly, or once a month. Not every single person, but most people, when that check goes in the bank.
For 2 or 3 months, and I'm like, oh, my money, here you go.
But the point being there, since we're talking about money transactions and looking at it that way,
Get some more.
the money is in the bank. You might have a positive green for your paycheck, but then you have red for all your bills. That's like, dang. Okay, well, my paycheck just went down the dang drain. But hey, guess what? If you don't have that paycheck, it's not going to pay for any of that.
Right.
And at the end of the day, you might have 14 cents left over. And I'm giving the example because I've literally lived with $2.14 in my bank account for 2 weeks. Literally 2 weeks. That's for a whole nother story. But you have, in a financial standpoint, is what we're speaking of, you have a paycheck because you have a job. You have a job, which means you have a vehicle to get to work. You have a vehicle to get to work, which means you more than likely, not in everyone's situation, have a roof over your head. You're still surviving because you have food on the table. All of those things came from your paycheck. Now, I believe, in my opinion, we as humans are not meant to work every single day of our lives. I don't mean that you should not work for what you have. That's the only way to get what you have.
Right.
You literally create your reality. But when you want something bad enough, it does not matter what cost it is at, whether it is financial, mentally, emotional, all the leaves again. You're going to do whatever it is in your power to make that happen.
Well, and yeah, I wasn't trying to turn it into a money conversation, because to
I was
me,
meaning in general,
it really
just
isn't.
use that as the
I
example.
think it was a good comparison to draw to make it more understandable what I'm trying to say metaphorically, because that, I mean, transactionally, it doesn't even have to be money. I was just looking at everything like a robot almost. You know what I
But
mean?
most things in life are, let's be realistic.
Transactional.
Yeah.
Most things in life are transactional.
I think, and it's perfect what you just said, because if it is something that you absolutely, with every fiber of your being, want to have, want to do, anything that you want, and that's something that you're all the way behind, you don't care what it costs. So you're not looking at the cost, you're looking at what do I have to do to get there. And that's the mindset. That's the change. That's the thing that I wasn't doing. I wasn't looking at, I don't care, what does it take to get me there. I was, look at the cost. Oh my goodness. And then that just immediately drops you down from that higher mindset to down here in the red with the cost. And then you just sit with that cost and go, oh, I'll never be able to do that. Oh, I'll never be able to make that. That's too much. I can't handle that. This is crazy. So that's why I wanted to use that, because that comparison just means that the only thing that I was doing with everything that was approaching me was looking at the negative of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was weighing the negative of it
Sorry, camera.
in everything that happened to me. And that's how I ended up getting where I was. And it doesn't happen like at the snap of a finger. It doesn't happen overnight. It's just a slow stacking of bricks, and then eventually you get that wake up call, and you look down at your feet, and you're thousands of feet in the air, and you have no idea how you got here, and you have to slowly take one brick at a time and come back down. It's not one of those things that you just oh my goodness, I have been this great mindset all of a sudden, now I'm just super negative. It's just something that slowly happens over time. And I'm looking back, I'm doing a lot of reflecting on what led me there and how did I get there. And that was something that really stuck out to me, was how I was looking at everything.
Well, something that you said when we were on the phone talking said night that we were speaking of.
The night of the Epiphany.
The night of the Epiphany, yes.
Oh, geez, it's going to be in the Bible.
Something that you said that I thought was an incredibly good statement, for a better lack of words, if you will. You said, you sit in this place that you were in, and you're like, man, I really wish that I was the person that I used to be. And then you thought about it, and you told me, you're like, but I don't want to be that person, because that person allowed me to become who I was.
Yep.
You want to be better than that person.
Because I 100% believed that, and she can attest to this. It was every day. I knew that I had problems. I knew that everything was bad, and I wanted nothing more than to get better. But in that realm where I was at, I kept looking at her and saying, I am so sorry. I wish I was who you met, 6 years ago. I wish I was that person, because I wasn't that bad 6 years ago. I wasn't where I was at 2 weeks ago. I kept looking at it like that. Like, that guy was who you fell in love with. That guy was on top of the world. And I would always be like, man, I just wish I could get back to him. I want to be him again. I want to be him again. I want myself back. I want to be that person again. And that, even everything, they say the day of the Epiphany, it is 100% true, because it was like a world-changing event in my world.
Lots of tears.
So,
on my end.
It is, and if anybody is listening and going through that, and you are somebody that you used to be, and you look back and you want to be that person again, do not have that thought, please, because it clicked in my brain to, I can't be that person again. I don't want to be that person again, because even though you look at that person and you say, oh, they were so high on life, they were living on top of the world, and they were so happy and they were so positive, whoever that person was allowed you to become the thing that you hated. So why would you go back there and start that cycle all over again? You want to be better than that person. Yeah, they might have been what you think is the best version of yourself, but obviously it's not. Because that person allowed you to walk this path and become what you didn't. You want to be better. You need to go the other direction. Quit looking back and look forward.
You look in the rearview mirror and see what's ahead of
you. Because whatever was going on in that past version of me that might have been what I aspired to return to, had something going on that allowed this to happen in the first place. So I want to be that version, but better, that doesn't have that missing piece. I want to find that, put all the good pieces together, and move forward. I'm not looking back.
Contradictory wise to that, it's not always that version of yourself. I wouldn't say that version of yourself allows you to get to where you were, but the awareness that version of yourself had did. Because I don't, and this is where my viewpoint's a little bit different. I like what you guys were saying. Like, I understand and I get it, but also, like I said, contradictory wise, is like you said, you shouldn't want to go back to who you were. You should always want to be better for sure. But it also could have been just getting into a routine of one thing's a pain in your ass, so you're focused on how much of a pain in the ass it is. And since you get into that routine, consciously you're in that routine of like, oh well, negative, negative, negative. Even if it's about just one thing, then after a while, subconsciously, that's the only thing that you look for. So as you're scanning the 8 million thoughts you have a day, the 30 that come back to your mind are, well, if this is all I'm looking for. So now this is, you started shifting your identity into a person that started seeking out the negative, even if it's for one inconvenient thing, and it just kind of snowballed into what it can be, or what it was. And that's because awareness wise, that's the only place that your awareness was on. Was it could have started with one simple small thing and then spiraled into everything under the earth is fucking miserable. So
well, that's why I say maybe, it doesn't. That's why I say I would never go back to that place, because I get what you're saying, that the identity is different than the person. So I could be that person again with a different identity, but to me, the person and the identity are one and the same.
Yeah,
because there was no separating that. That's why I say I was looking at like, oh, let me go back there to be that again, because if I go back there and I be that again, it's all going to happen again, because that guy had that identity that allowed all of that shit to ensue across 6 years. So that's why I say I want to be better than that. I can take inspiration. I think we're on the same path. It was just a little bit of a different, you know what I mean? Because, like, I get what you're saying, but to me, I put them together. The person and the identity.
Are actually agreeing. You're just
that's
saying
what we
it in
just
two
said.
different
Yeah,
ways.
that's why I
That's what
said.
we
So,
were
like,
just saying.
100%, because I could take inspiration from how I was back then, and I can use that as an outline. It's like writing a paper. You can use an outline, give you some key points, like these were the things that I really loved about who I was when I was there, but let's take that and build something new. Because now I have the mindset here, and I'm going to take the key points from where I was previously, and let's put them together, and let's build something better than it was before.
You know, it's really funny. I'm going to say two things and go into a story for a second, but some of the best inspirations are failures.
Yeah.
Most people, and I can't speak for all, especially you, most people's inspirations are their failures. Example.
And that's only if they choose to look at them like a lesson.
Literally every day of anyone's life. The light bulb wasn't made in a day. Rome wasn't built in a day.
Turn our L's into lessons.
You take your inspiration of failure and turn that into your drive. So that was my statement. But my side story that I have actually told before, but not with you on the podcast. So I had a life-changing moment, and I'm sure you've all probably heard it a million times, but I'm going to tell it on the podcast. I apologize. I have a fuzzy in my eyeball. So right after a small child was born, he is 4 now, by the way, I had a horrible postpartum. Okay, I got the fuzzy. No, I didn't. I had horrible postpartum. I mean,
You're making my eye like I feel like I need to rub my eyes right now.
okay, we'll deal with it. Anywho, I had horrible postpartum. I mean, horrible postpartum, and I'm not going to get into all that because it's not a pregnancy postpartum podcast. But example of that I'm trying to provide. I had horrible postpartum. I couldn't tell you the 6 months of my child's life. I literally was existing, but not existing. Like, I was physically existing, but not mentally existing.
I told her that all the time. That's how you just feel like you're surviving. It's not
Yeah.
anything but getting through the day. Like, I'm just here.
And it was a very hard, not at the time. I mean, at the time, it was an easy place for me to be in because I didn't know what was happening. And, Reno and I kind of talked one day, and it's not funny, but it is funny. Pretty much it was to the point of like, hey, you either get help or we're getting a divorce. Again, it was not funny at the time, but it is funny now. We do joke about it. It's not a serious topic at the moment. But that was a conversation, and I was like, I'm fine. Like, I don't know what your problem is, but I don't have a problem. Like, I'm good. And immediately, literally, immediately right after that, my grandpa passed away. The guy who pretty much raised me. And he and I were literally thick as thieves. And I go down to Florida, which is where he lived. Everything happened, all the things. And weirdly enough, like, being in the room when he passed away was, there is a point to this, the most serene thing I have ever in my life experienced. And it's really weird to think, like, someone dying is like a serene feeling, like it's the most peaceful feeling you've ever felt. Okay, that's an odd thought, right? Like, that's sad.
Well, we don't think you're a serial killer if that's what you're thinking.
Like, that's kind of like sometimes
very peaceful,
very morbid thought to think that it can be peaceful, but I have never in 33 years of my entire existence experienced something so peaceful.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was the craziest thing in the world. I came back, and I think we were down there for what, like 4 or 5 days. First time I'd ever been away from a kid. Mind you, he is literally 6 months old at this point. And I was still, having horrible postpartum, going down there, all the things. Like, I am not in a great headspace going to Florida. Reno and I had just had that conversation. I didn't know I still had a problem, whatever else. We go down there. George passed. And I get back. And it wasn't an immediate thing. Like, Reno and I talked about it, I don't know, months later, maybe even a year later or so, and he's like, I genuinely think that George dying is the thing that got you out of your headspace. Mm-hmm. And you would think that would be such a negative thing. Like, the person who raised me died. And it was unexpected. Like, it was a freak accident. And it wasn't in a car wreck or anything, so... like, literally a freak accident could have turned my horrible, I don't even want to say mindset, because I wasn't even thinking. Like, there was literally...
You're just on autopilot.
Yeah, my brain was literally just, I don't want to say mush, but I was thoughtless. Like, there were no thoughts going through my head during the day.
I mean, most of the time I felt like that too, but it was a lot of a mindset it was the bad mindset that was my autopilot, was the bad mindset.
Well, and for
so
me,
it's very similar. It's very similar.
Right. But for me, I was just living. Like, I literally woke up and was just living. Like, I like to make the joke of their marbles don't roll in the right direction. Well, my marbles weren't rolling at all.
Yeah.
Like, they were still hanging out up there, but they were not rolling at all. They were staying still. They weren't going nowhere.
It's two different situations, but we were both feeling the same thing.
Right. Well, when George passed and I came back home, that was the thing that snapped me out of it.
Now, that's just like we talked about it. It could be anything. You never and like, you had no idea that you were even having that problem, and I bet that if you did, you would have never thought that would be the thing that caused the chain reaction, because you're never going to know what it'll be, but it will be. If you're in a bad place, if you're thinking that you're in a bad place or not, there will be a ignition from something that will cause the dominoes to fall.
Well, and for me, like, I denied for so long. I denied until I was out of it that I had postpartum depression, if you will, if that's what you want to call it. I denied that I had that because I genuinely, and it wasn't woe is me, my life is horrible, it wasn't those negative thoughts. There were no thoughts. It was literally thoughtless. I was a literal thoughtless human being. Like, I got up and I just functioned. But looking back on it, I was like, dang, like, there were so many signs that I couldn't see, and it wasn't because I was in a negative headspace. I couldn't see them because I didn't know there was a problem.
Well, and I think we can still draw a lot of comparisons, because we've been talking about me being in a very negative headspace, but like, on my day-to-day, like, even the days where I wasn't like overly like, oh my God, everything's so terrible, I was just like that, was I not?
Yeah.
Like the day to day of that mindset for me was just like that. Like I just wasn't even there half the time. Like I was just kind of going through the motions. I was just doing what I had to do to get through the day. So I mean, that's why I'm really feeling what you're saying right now. Like, because I know I could never have postpartum depression because it's like physically impossible.
It's
But I'm
2025, anything's
really
possible.
feeling that, and I'm really vibing with that because, like, hearing you talk about what that was like for that time period was, yes, I mean, I was still in a negative headspace for the time that I was aware of it. But I mean, she lives with me
I mean,
24/7.
when you're on autopilot, you're
That's
not
where
really
I was at,
thinking
yeah.
about it, because that's like with her, like,
I mean, you're literally sitting there thinking, I'm going to lose my wife. Not
no,
physically,
like,
not.
legitimately, and like, I don't really ever talk about this because, like, obviously, like, I don't throw it in her face or anything, but from the day that he was born up until 6 months in, that was, if you would ask me at any point in my life of, like, ideally, like, perfect situation for life, it's married with a kid, buying a house, doing all the things. When I tell you we had the most amazing 6 months, like, pocket of life, I can't even really, like, I can explain it to people, but, like, being in that space and having all this stuff is just unreal. We went from both of us working our jobs, doing whatever. We had our son. 5 days later, we bought another house. Moved in a month later. I quit my job to get back to working for myself. That immediately fucking took off like a bat out of hell. We sold our other house, and we're new parents, obviously.
I also quit my job and went
Fucking
back to school.
nuts, but I mean that plays into
That's
all of that
a
also.
lot of massive things that happen.
Exactly.
Right?
It was,
Six
it was
months.
legitimately the craziest fucking, like, I get goosebumps sometimes thinking about, like, what transpired in 6 months. Because at the same time, prior to her having the kid, I told her, hey, just in case it's a possibility you have postpartum depression, we don't really know. There's no signs if you're going to get it. You're not just like fucking, you have the kid and something happens, it's a guarantee, whatever. But I told her, it's a you problem. Not in like a degrading, like I don't give a shit way, but it's not my place to step in and help you until you need, if I realize you can't get yourself out, then it's my responsibility to get you out.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that's you saying thank you and helping me pull you out, or you're fucking kicking and screaming and I'm dragging you by the hair. One way or another, your ass is getting out. Like, when it is my, once I realize that you can't do it, you're now my responsibility. Like, I'm going to give you ample amount of time to do it. I'll give you little nudges here and there. But other than that, that's your doing. Like, that's, you need to navigate your own shit. You need to figure it out, just like I'm trying to figure out becoming a dad and doing all this stuff. But, so, leading up to all of this, during this first 6 months, it was progressively getting worse at home because, I mean, and it's something, like I said, I don't really talk about it. I don't think we've ever really had the conversation fully, but, like, I experienced the craziest 6 months that I've ever had in my life completely by myself. Like, had nobody to share the craziness with. Like, not in a bad way, but just like...
It's just like having another body in the house.
Yeah. I mean,
and I am sure, this saddens me to say, but I'm sure you felt like that from time to time.
And
It feels like you have a roommate. Not,
Yeah, and it like, I mean, looking back on it now, it breaks my heart because, like, me seeing it through clear eyes and a clear, like, good headspace, it was, like, just absolutely crazy. Like, just had our son. He's awesome. He was a literal, like, that's why I always say one and done, because I don't think you can produce a more perfect infant.
Yeah.
Like, he was great. He was sleeping through the night by 3 weeks old. Like, fucking, dude was a tits. Easiest baby in the entire world. But going through that as essentially a single parent was tough, especially because, like, I've always wanted a family. I've always wanted a kid. I've always wanted the American dream, so to speak, just like everybody else has. But, like, being able to experience not only just, like, bringing a kid into the world with somebody that I mean, I wanted to have kids with her for over 10 years. Like, that was also a conversation we had forever ago. Like, she never wanted kids, so I was like, you know what? Let me ponder it for a little bit. It was still very early on, but I was like, I can give that up and still be happy. But then, out of the blue, she's like, hey, let's have a kid. Now I'm over the fucking moon because I get my kid with her, who I wanted to have a kid with. And then on top of that, we buy another house, sell our house. I quit my job that I was fucking miserable at to go back to working for myself, and that immediately takes off like a bat out of hell. And all the while, all this awesome shit's happening, and I don't really have anybody to go talk to because she's checked out. Like, she's a body here, but she gets up, goes to work, she comes home, it's work, work, work until she goes to sleep, then she goes to sleep, do it all again the next day. On the weekends, we don't even talk. So, like, getting to experience all this shit, like, by myself sucked. But
Have you felt that way?
There were times where it's like, well, it'll get better, or like, it just felt like, well, what can I do? It's hard to explain. So, like, for me, I know
this is going to be hard for me to hear.
And it's also kind of hard for me to talk about it because, like, there were moments where I was
We're
like,
in a safe space.
oh, I know that.
do you want me to start off the hard conversations? Because I have one that can just open the fucking floodgates.
I mean, no, I'm just saying, like...
Well, just to help get the fucking heebie-jeebies out, because I don't give a fuck. It's not going to make me tear up talking about it.
Okay, go ahead.
But, like, when it came down to our ultimatum, it was literally an ultimatum. I turned around and told her, I gave you time. Now I'm stepping in. What can I do to help? And she turned around and she's like, I don't have a problem. I don't have anything to work on. So I said, if you don't have a problem, my exact words, I don't know if you remember my exact words. I said, if you don't have a problem, then you don't have a problem being by yourself. Me and our son are gone. These are your choices. Either let me help you or we leave. You can keep the house, I can keep the house. I don't give a shit. However you want to play it. But we're gone. And that's when she's like, I don't have a problem. I'm like, you do. This is how it's been. I was like, do you realize that you've missed out on all this stuff? And actually what sparked the conversation was we were going through a bunch of his baby clothes because they were done, or he was growing out of them. And, well, no, that was right after you got back from Georgia's. Mm-hmm. So prior to, we had this conversation because I was like, I told you you had your time. I've given you double the amount of time of what I told you, and you've just dug yourself deeper. I was like, there's no point in doing this. I'm doing this on my own. I'm done being a single father. Like, with my wife in the house, I'm done being a single father. So, shit or get off the pot. Like, I'm telling you, I'm here to help you. What can I do to help you? You have an issue, so if you're gonna just keep saying you don't have an issue, then don't have an issue by yourself.
Right.
So I told her, I was like, either we can have an actual conversation, or you could be by yourself. Because I will pack up his shit right now and head out the door. And she was like, okay, that was kind of a reality check for her, a start of it. And then 2 days later is when you got the call about George. Mm-hmm. And fast track to when she got back, she was just different. Like, she still wasn't 100% back, but mm-hmm. It wasn't the autopilot, not really here. And I could see that, so, like, we had another conversation. I'm like, you're different.
I also feel that, too, because that is exactly what was the catalyst for me. Obviously, yours was a little bit different because you feel like it was more of George. But it was probably some of that, too. But that was the same thought that I had. It wasn't her giving me an ultimatum.
No, because I never felt like I had...
But it
had to be that way.
Well, hold on.
That was the
Finish the
thought.
rest of that.
So I feel that.
So, but another catalyst to all of that is, I don't think that George's passing was really the catalyst, so to speak. I think it kind of was, because like I said, like, and it's not, I think that the postpartum was a catalyst for the autopilot, and then you got into the space to where you could shut your brain off and it's not hell on earth in your head 24/7. To where you found that you can dig your heels into work and your people at work, and that was your one-track mind. That didn't matter. Because that was the whole thing, is like, you would get up for work, you would get dressed, you would tell us bye, and you would leave. I wouldn't hear from you till the end of the day. You'd come home at the last possible second that you could from work, and 9 times out of 10 you were not getting out of your work clothes until you were laying down in bed at 10:30, 11 o'clock. You were outside pacing for 3 hours on the phone talking to anybody and everybody that would pick up the phone to talk about work. And then on the weekends, you would go up there sometimes on Saturdays. You'd call up there at whoever's working to make sure that this is going good or whatever. Or if you're not, like, you would be outside on the phone with whoever the fuck would pick up the phone just so you can yap with whoever. But you were making your little fucking figure 8 in the grass for hours and hours and hours. So you found that comfortable space to where you can just autopilot that shit and, like, yeah, there's nothing wrong because you don't realize that you're burning through 6 hours or 3 hours of your time to not deal with what needs to be dealt with. But when you got back, we had a conversation like the next day because I was like, because you woke up and I could tell that something was different because you woke up and we spoke. Like, usually, I mean, and it sounds stupid, but I mean, again, it's not me talking shit or woe is me or like, it was so bad, but like, on the weekends, you would get up and we would not speak. Like, half the time I didn't even sleep in bed with you because I did overnight stuff. Like, when you went to bed, and when you woke up, I've got to go to work. Like, you do all this shit. So, I mean, I woke up with the kid, did breakfast stuff, brought him to school, kept all of his shit for school, made all of his bottles, did all of his stuff. I was a literal single parent doing everything. But when you got back, we actually spoke that morning and you sat down and, like, you hung out with us for a little bit. You didn't immediately run outside. You ran outside, but there was a little bit of a turning point to where there was an interaction and you were more mindful. And then later on that day, I had all of his fucking baby clothes on the table because I was going through them because 3/4 of his fucking closet didn't fit. And I'm literally just making fucking stacks of everything that's 3 to 6 months or in newborn to 3 months. It's like, just making stacks to get him the fuck out. And the whole conversation got struck up is because you got pissed. And you're like, why are you throwing away all brand new clothes? And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, I'm so tired of seeing these fucking clothes. This kid lives in these bitches. Like, what are you talking about? And you got pissed off at me because you're like, he's never worn any of these. Why are you throwing them away? And I was like, these are not brand new clothes. And I will never forget, you were standing there going through all of his clothes, sobbing because you're like, I don't remember any of these. And I'm like, he has literally lived in these bitches. There are stains to prove it. Like, there's shit stains, throw up stains, bottle stains, you name it. Those bitches have seen some shit. Like, these are not brand new, I promise. And then you realize that, like, holy shit, 6 months is gone, and the only thing I can remember is walking around it, being on the phone. And then it was, like, literally, like you said, it was instantaneous. Right back to it, and then never had an issue again.
So that was the thing that happened to you, I
mean, that's a hard pill to swallow,
yeah.
not remembering the first 6 months of your child's life.
I think
You can never get that back.
I don't.
Or anytime.
I'm not trying to say, like, because that is, I couldn't even imagine. Okay, and
It sucked.
I don't want to take anything away from that, but that was your pill. My pill might not seem from the outside like it's as bad as that. Like,
well, I mean,
6 months of your child's life, but the pill, your pill is your pill, my pill is my pill.
Exactly.
That pill of, oh my God, I have fucked up big time, is like the hardest thing in the world. It's so hard to be like, because the moment that I had it with her in the truck when this happened, the epiphany, the snap of the finger, the shift, it was like an earthquake in my brain because you're like, oh my God, like it was me the whole time. Mm-hmm. Like I was the problem, and you would have never thought that, and that's such a hard thing.
I want you to answer the question that he had asked you.
Here, hold on a
But
second. You're good. I mean, you can keep talking. We're just gonna
I wanted
back
to
a
make
little
a
bit.
statement because you were talking about comparing the two, and this is relevant but also irrelevant at the same time. A very simple statement. A friend of mine that I had in college, her 5-year-old died. And he and I were buddies. Let me tell you, when Chris, that was what he called me, was in the room, no one else existed. His family would tell you that. I went to the funeral. That was rough. And I told her, I was like, I don't know how you're surviving. Like, your child just died. I do not understand. He was sick. How you are surviving. Like, I've never had a day that would compare to that. And she's like, my worst day and your worst day are the exact same thing.
It's all relative.
Because you can physically, or you cannot physically, ever walk in another person's shoes. Can you physically put them on? Absolutely. Are they going to feel the same? No, because your feet are different. You can never walk in another person's shoes. And your worst day is the exact same as someone else's. It does not matter what it is. So comparing all of that to say, because this is social media, obviously YouTube is social media, never compare your life to someone else's.
Well,
that was the point of what I was trying to say.
Yeah, that's why I say that moment that it snapped into place for you, and at that moment, me and you were the exact same. Mm-hmm. We had the same feeling for two different reasons. We had two different paths that we walked to get there, but in that moment, we both felt just the worst about what we let happen. And mine doesn't compare at all because, it's just, we can't do that. You cannot say, it's not an apples to apples comparison. But but in that moment, the moment of the realization, we were the same.
Mm-hmm. Answer, I want to hear this actually.
What? Can you repeat the question again?
Well, I just asked if you ever felt like he did about me being just there on autopilot, like how he was
a warm body.
Yeah, I was just a body there. Like, I mean, have you ever felt that way? Have you ever felt like I know you said that you never felt like you needed to give me an ultimatum, but
No.
I don't know what goes on in your brain because you never really talked about it because you're not a confrontational person. But
No, I'm not a confrontational person, and I'm not going to say that, I'm learning thanks to you.
Yeah, thanks.
I'm not.
Thanks, Chris.
I wouldn't even, side story, I don't even think you need to be confrontational. It's more about
No.
just like getting it off your chest.
Yeah, and I'm not that type of person to be like, hey,
No,
this is how I'm feeling.
Sometimes I gotta draw it out of her, like I gotta stick a hook in there and pull it out.
But for me, it was. I'm not gonna say like I'm always like always have the positive mindset because I do have my days where I'm like, everything's going to hell in a handbasket. Like, can we just light this day on fire and call it quits?
Can we restart?
Right.
Press the restart button.
I have.
I guess so, but I.
I try to always see the good in everything. I always try to see the good in people in the world. Of course, I know that there's bad people. I know that they might have bad qualities. I know that there might be bad things going on. But for you, just simply going to the grocery store together and you be like, do we need that? Or sometimes we go to the grocery store and check out and you be like, oh my God, we're spending this much money again, or we're doing this again. And I'm sitting here, well, look, we won't have to get these things for this amount of time. Or, hey, yeah, we spent a lot of money, but they're all healthy foods. Like, we're trying to get better because we'd have those moments. And it was like, that was the negative thing that would set you off. And then everything from that moment for the rest of the day was, well, now we can't do anything else because we got to do this and we got to do that and we got to do this and we got to do that. And it was like, I'm just trying to see the good in it of like, yeah, we might be stuck at our lane, or yeah, there might be traffic. Oh, well, the area is growing, or yeah, hey, there might be this going on. You would get mad at the smallest inconveniences and then let it control your entire day. So for sometimes it felt like I'm trying to look at the good around us, but you're only seeing what's in the car. It was like we were riding in the car and you were only focusing on the speedometer or what was in front of you, and I'm trying to open up the windows and look
It's like
around us in the truck.
It's like the meme of the two people riding in the bus, and the one guy's staring at the mountaintop, and the other guy's staring out at the sun, all happy and shit.
Right. That's kind of what it felt like. It felt like.
How did it make you feel?
It made me kind of sad that you didn't see the good in it, or you wouldn't see what I saw.
I wasn't capable at that point in time.
You wouldn't have conversations with me. It was, you talk about your day and how bad it was. And of course, like, you'd ask how my day went, but your reaction to it, if I was having a bad day, was, oh, well, it's over now. It's done. You're done with work. If you had a shitty day at work, oh, it's done.
Yeah, I was telling you that, but I wasn't doing it.
But you would sit there and harp on how bad your day was. And instead of being there and being like, which I know you're not a very emotional person, but like, for me, if I'm having a bad day, there's times where I want to talk it out, and there's sometimes where I just feed me bullshit sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, tell me it's gonna be rainbows and unicorns.
Most of the time, I don't know what to say.
Right, which I get that.
And then I just feel weird about just sitting there.
Yeah.
So how did, plainly put, how did his negative energy affect your day today?
It
And I'm
started to
asking
get,
you this
yeah.
because I can, from an outsider's perspective, I love you and I mean it. I can give you my answer from an outsider's perspective.
Right. Well,
of
no,
you.
it was starting to affect me. It was like starting to drain me because I felt like I was also wearing it. Because, you know, it was, I really don't know how to explain it other than I felt like I was starting to put on the layers of the negativity. I felt like I was putting on, okay, well, here's a negative jacket. I'm wearing it. And then I'd pick up another one. It just felt like I was starting to sink down in there. But at the same time, the best way I can describe it is, I felt like I was being
drowning and I was pulling you down with me.
Yes, and no matter what I did or what I said to try and pull you out of it, I felt like I was sinking and I couldn't keep the both of us afloat anymore. And that's kind of what helped me to have that conversation with you, because it felt like I was sitting here, you were drowning in the bottom of a pool here, and I'm trying to get down there and try and pick you back up. And no matter what I was doing to try and get us both up out of the water to breathe, it felt like I was starting to go down there with you.
Well, it takes two people.
Well, and I'm going to tell you this, and I haven't told you this. This is a conversation Lainey and I had. The day that you two had that conversation, first off, had nothing to do with me. But Lainey and I went to lunch that day. And she was in one hell of a pissed off mood. And first off, I'm not going to deal with people pissed off.
Only you're allowed to be pissed off.
That's a true statement. If I'm mad, please be mad with me. Let me bitch. We can talk about all the things in a joking manner and call it a day. Sometimes I just want people to bitch with me. Okay, cool. That's not the point. She was in a horrible mood. And I'm like, we're going to lunch. Like, we're going to talk this out. What is your problem? And I think Lainey could agree that I'm a very what is your problem kind of person. Not like, oh, it's okay. It's going to be fine. I don't
your
do that.
Your approach isn't always the greatest.
No, it's really not. And I don't
very
apologize. I don't apologize for that. That's just me. And I'm like, dude, what is your problem? Like, I'm telling you, you need to get over whatever your problem is.
Yes.
And then we sat down and we talked about it, and she didn't give me all the details because they're not my details to have. It's also not my life to live. And she had said something because you had just texted her or called her, and she was saying something about you were having a mood. And I was like, okay, well, like, maybe you should talk to him. And I joked about the fact after we spoke that night, and you were like, did you watch Reno's podcast? Absolutely not. She had not. We had not even looked at TikTok. I simply asked her, and it wasn't even about you. I asked her what her problem was. I didn't know that she was feeling some type of way because you were having a day. I had no way of knowing that. I was just asking what's wrong with her. And so, and again, I don't know if that's what sparked the conversation. If it is, great. If it's not, also fine. That's y'all's relationship. But I could see how, excuse me, I could see from an outsider's perspective, and I mean this because everyone in our life could see my postpartum depression but me. So from an outsider's perspective,
No, I hit that shit pretty well. Nobody knew there was any issues going on.
well, your mom did.
Well, I mean, yeah, because at some point she'd catch me with the fucking mask off that I couldn't hide that shit anymore. She's like, "What the fuck's going on?" I'm like, "Shut up, bitch, nothing."
That's not the point. But anywho, I could see from an outsider's perspective that she was wearing some kind of baggage. I didn't know what the baggage was until I'm literally like, "Hey, what is your problem?"
It's so hard for me to hear because
And I mean that in the most loving
and I'm
and kind
not.
way possible.
It's just hard for me to hear because I know who I am to my core. I know that what my core beliefs are and how I value and what I value, and I lost that along the way. And it's so hard for me to hear because I don't think it's a surprise to anybody in this room that she is the most important person in my life. She is, like, I tell her all the time that she saved me from myself because there's no telling where I'd be if I didn't meet her. And, you know, she saved me in a sense because, you know, it's just, you know, you're always looking for something or somebody that you don't know who you're looking for, and then it just happens and there they are and that's your person. You know, like,
Absolutely.
she's my person. I knew who she was, but I never knew who she was until I met her. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. Like, I've been looking for you, but I didn't know who you were, kind of
Yeah.
thing. And I have done everything in my entire existence with her to do nothing but make her happy and make sure that she's okay, and then make sure that she's taken care of, and that she, you know, has everything that she needs from me. And then I just want her to have everything. I tell her all the time she deserves the world, and, you know, it's hard for me to hear that I ended up in that place that I wasn't aware of the fact that I was carrying around too much baggage and I couldn't hold it anymore, and just subconsciously was dropping it off on her, and I didn't realize the effect that it was having. So it's so hard to hear because I tell her all the time I would burn the entire world down for her. That's just how I would do things. And that now, after the realization that I've had that there was a part of me that was hurting her, that I have to burn that part of, like, if I'm going to burn the world down and anything that could hurt her or make her have a bad day or whatever, like, I would just go to that length and that extreme. Obviously, I wouldn't actually fucking, you know, hurt anybody, but I mean, I would. You see what I'm saying?
Correct.
So that I realized finally that if there was a piece of me that was affecting her in that way, then hey, buddy, if you're going to burn the world down, that means you got to take care of you too. Because I can tell you right now, if there was any exterior thing, person, or whatever that was making her feel that way, I know I'd have a problem with it. I know I'd be there like, hey, what the fuck, bro? Or hey, what the fuck are you doing to her? Like, we're not doing that. I'll be right there to protect her because that's how I felt about her. But you get in that moment and you don't realize that I'm the one that's doing that. And the second that I realized that, that's why I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to defend you to the end of the earth, that means that I have to do it from me too. Like, if I'm affecting you in that way and there's a part of me that's bringing you down, then I got to cut that out and I got to get rid of that. And you know, that's why listening to you ever having that thought and ever feeling that way, and that people could see it, and that it was bringing you down, because that was never my intention. It was just so much, and I was a bottler. I'm a bottler. I would let it bottle.
It's never an intention.
Yeah, no, I just, and it's just, it makes me so disappointed in myself. Like, I'm not mad. Like, I can't get mad about it. It's not going to do anything. That leads you back into that place down there that I don't ever want to go to again. But
Well,
it's
I wouldn't even really.
It's
think
disappointing.
Of it in
I'm
a
disappointed in
disappointing
myself.
way, though, because now all that it is like, you can use that as a reminder. Because I mean, it's inevitable. You're eventually at some point you might run on the high of, like, the positive thinking high for a couple days, couple weeks. At some point, that old voice in your head is gonna pop right back up and start trying to
Oh.
drag you back down there.
But listen here.
the
I've
good
been
thing
I'm
is-
within 2 weeks, and I've already heard that voice a couple of times, and I have turned around and gave him the finger and said, "Not
And
today."
that's all that was what my whole gist behind it was that's where a lot of people falter because they go right back to it because
Yep.
it's comfortable. But especially hearing that uncomfortable talk now, anytime that voice pops up, it's just like shut the fuck up. That's not the case.
No, because I 100%.
So but the whole thing is you have enough that has bothered you with it, hearing it firsthand, to keep you consciously aware of it to where you're never gonna let yourself get back there because now you've associated with that one thing. So now it's
Well,
you're
ever
not
since
gonna let that go because you know that version of you was so far away from where you were. So now it's like kind of a conscious reminder of like hey, get back on your
Yeah.
shit. So because that's like the whole. And I'm just itching to be able to like fucking go down the rabbit hole a little bit. But
Well, for anybody wondering, anybody who's listening up to this point, I bet you figured it out. But the thing that was the catalyst for me and the switch that flipped was that I was told that if I didn't figure it out, that she was going to be gone. And everybody in this room knows without a shadow of a doubt, especially now, that is my biggest fear.
Mhm.
And that is the thing that would destroy me completely.
Mhm.
Because she's my person. It's just like that is enough. She has become a part of me, just how I've become a part of her. It was always that piece that we felt like we were missing. You know, you're always looking for your person, and that's the person that you
maybe
want
you'll find it one day.
That's the person that it's not. You don't have to. It's just like that you meet them and then you just continue on with your life hand in hand as if nothing ever happened. Like it's always been that way. We joke about it all the time. Like we've been married for 50 years.
50.
Because it just feels that way, and it just like that. I got so comfortable in that feeling that I thought no matter how I'm doing, no matter how I feel, no matter what I do, she's always going to be there until I had that moment of that thought that, hey, bro, she might not be.
Mm-hmm.
If you keep doing what you're doing and you keep acting the way that you're acting and you keep projecting your energy around you, you're going to either A, lose her, or B, you're going to put her down there with you. And then you're both going to be fucked because, I might be able to function like that. I might have been able to be successful and keep my life moving forward in that. But what if she was? You know what I mean? You could ruin her life. You could ruin not just her life, but you could just, you don't know what effect that's going to have. And I wasn't thinking about those things until I did. And it was a very brief thought because I'd never thought that before. And that was enough for me to wake up and go, no more. So I've had that old voice, the guy that's like, hey, let's get mad about this. Hey, let's feel sorry for ourselves. Hey, let's just sulk in it for a little bit and just be miserable because that's what you're used to. And I hear it and I go, no, because I know what that feels like now. And I see the other side of it, and I know what it'll do.
I'm a very firm believer in you can't make someone else happy if you're not happy with you. And that's hard because there are a lot of people in this world that are people pleasers. And as much as I will sit here and say, I am not a people pleaser, I don't care what people think, that is absolutely
I totally am.
the furthest
I used to
from
be.
the truth. I am. And now I will say the
Obnoxiously
hardest
loud.
person on me is myself. I am harder on myself than there is anybody else. And that's not everybody. A lot of people need other people to be harder on them than they are on themselves. That's not me.
I'm just like you. That's how I am. And I think we get caught up in that.
The industry, and I'm not going to go into work, but the industry that I am in is a customer service industry. And I am there to please people. I am there to make people happy. Now, I will say there are days that you can't do that. Today was one of those days. I had a good cry at work. I let it go, and I was perfectly fine after that. Literally perfectly fine. I let it go. I literally let it go. But some people you can't always please everyone. That's not the point. You cannot be happy with someone else. You cannot make someone else happy. Relationship, work, spouse, whatever it is, you cannot be happy with someone else or make someone else happy if you're not happy with yourself. Small example, if either of us have had a bad day, and it happens, we all have bad days, and we come in and we're in a mood, and we pick little dude up and he is in a fantastic mood. As soon as we get in the car and he feels our energy, his entire night is different.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even have to speak to him, and he is 4 years old. We don't have to speak to him. As soon as he feels our energy, his entire night changes. We can't make him happy until we are happy.
Mhm.
Individually, together, what have you, you cannot make someone else happy until you are happy with yourself. It's not possible. You cannot give someone 100% when you do not give yourself 100%.
And that's what I am solely focused on right now, because I know that was my shortcoming, is because I was not happy with me. I'm not saying that I'm 100% happy with where I'm at right now, but I am choosing to be happy with myself now 100%, that I am making myself better. I'm not where I want to be. We never are. You never are. Nobody's where they want to be at. We're all on a journey somewhere.
You
So,
should all be wanting to grow. every
I
day.
am not. I was looking at myself being like, I don't like who I am, and just welling around in that. I don't like what I look like. I don't like how I feel. I don't like who I am compared to who I used to be. So I was just not happy with myself. Instead of, I'm going to be happy with the fact that I know I'm not where I want to be, and that I'm working on it. And that makes me happy with myself, and that makes me love myself, and that makes me look in the mirror and be good about what I see, because I know I'm on my journey.
When you're in a relationship with someone, your focus should be your relationship. It doesn't matter with who or in what capacity of relationship. But as Reno likes to provide the example, you have to be selfish. It doesn't matter what relationship it is, you have to be selfish. And that doesn't mean that you're not giving to the other person, whatever that relationship is for the other person. But you have to be selfish about it, because if you're not selfish and you are not your top priority every single day, I'm not saying that your spouse or your child, not that y'all have kids, but should not be your top priority. Because a parent, your top priority is making sure your human makes it through the day safely and successfully. But you have to be so focused on you that you can clearly focus on that other person.
Well, I can tell you from personal experiences, that's a very fine line, because you can be selfish in the wrong way.
Yes, but in
Because
a positive way.
I 100% was, because I was so focused on how bad I felt and how many things that I was upset or mad about, that I was selfish in the way that I just wanted everybody to know how mad I was or how upset
That's
I
what I
was
meant, in a
and how bad
positive
I
way.
felt. So I'm just making it known that being selfish, you can be selfish in the right way, but you can also very fine line of being selfish in the wrong way.
Correct.
And then you end up where we were, where I was being selfish and look at how bad everything is for me, and then it's just dragging that other person with you down, instead of looking at the relation. Because I was selfish in the wrong way, because I wasn't seeing how that was affecting
Excuse me.
our relationship. And it 100% was. It totally had to be. I'm not stupid.
I mean, and
But you can't
it
see-
sucks.
But you can't see it.
It royally sucks. Like, again, we've been there, done that. Not something to be proud of, but
Definitely not.
it's definitely gotten us to where we are now. I'm not saying that we don't have hard days, not saying that we don't have days that we just want to be recluses individually, Yeah,
It's just because you like to be difficult. I'm a peach.
But I think that can still also be a healthy thing for you to have your.
Yeah.
it is.
Because like we do
talk
it,
about that.
we do it every night pretty much. You know what I mean? We come home after work, we talk about our day, we eat dinner together, we watch an episode of a show that we're watching, and then we go our separate ways for a little bit. I go have a little bit of downtime with myself. She has downtime talking to her mom and talking to you and watching her shows, and then you get a little bit of time because you can't be rammed up each other's asses every second of every day. You got to have a little bit of time to yourself. So I mean,
Oh
it's
no, that's debatable. I'm just kidding. I am just kidding.
you see what
Well,
I mean?
I mean,
I think it's good to have
Well,
your
fun
own
fact,
space.
we've only not seen each other. We have seen each other every single day for 11 years minus 7 days. And all 7 are her fault. I have to
Okay,
make that happen.
We did the same thing for
Hindsight.
us, but it was 3 days because she went on a vacation to the beach.
It was when you went
Or we need
on
to move out.
the trip thing with my mom and sister for 2 days.
All of them were to Florida.
And then when George died, and then your work trip. No, your work trip was Charlotte.
Charlotte. Okay, excuse me. All of them, but that one was.
I don't mean
literally
like
to
we're
Florida.
always together. We do everything together and we live together. But I mean, even that, like we're together, but we have our own little. You know, like I go play my game in my office. She watches her show. You know, that way you have time to.
Oh, yeah.
If you need to self-reflect for a little bit, or you just like for me sometimes, I just need to turn my brain off. You know what I mean? I've done a lot of thinking for the day. I've had a lot of stuff going on, and that's just my way to get away. We all have it, you know. Now I'm working out every day, so that's a good release for me. You know, we're all trying to get healthier, and it's, you know, you got to find those healthy outlets, and but without letting it affect things in the wrong way. So I mean, it's all a game that we play that you have to figure out what works for you, and I'm doing that.
And for me,
Slowly.
subconsciously, I could feel the dragging and the pulling of feeling like I'm being weighed down. But then there's times where I'm like, no, not yet. Like I was swimming up, kind of like, oh, I'll get one breath and be like, okay, no, you're not. Okay, no, you're fine. You're not being dragged down. Or I'd put on a mask because I don't want people. And I still do this. Like whenever I'm sad or when someone else is sad, I can't take those serious moments. I have to be like goofy, funny. I have to take every serious thing and make it into something funny. I can't take serious like all the time. I have to have those moments of like, okay, everything's fine, and put on that mask of I'm fine, it's fine, everything's fine, and try not to let it show, or try not to let everyone know like, okay, hey, this is bothering me. And subconsciously I knew it was, and then there's also moments where it's like, oh no, you're fine, like you're good.
I tried to do that a lot because I didn't want people to know what I was going through. But there comes a point where your runneth over, and there is no hiding it anymore. And
My
then it
cup
just
is had.
We all go through things every
Oh, yeah.
single day. Even if, example, Lainey and I work at the exact same place. Granted, I'm not there every day. So I'm at another place, but we are at the same place every day. I can promise you, our day to day when I am physically there is completely different. Like, she and I are not doing the same thing every day. We are physically doing something completely different every single day. Every day. Every day is the same, but every day is also completely different. And it's just, you have to. Oh, I'm deafening the people yet again.
Sorry, people.
Sorry about that. You have to be able to acknowledge it, and like saying it out loud is hard. It is very, very hard. And bottling it up, I think we all kind of agreed at this point that we're all really good at bottling it up. And I am not an emotional person in the slightest. There is not many things that will make me cry. That's just not who I am as a human being. I am. Most females are probably emotional. Not trying to be sexist, but I'm not. I'm just not an emotional person. It's not a thing. There's been times that Reno's like, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, why are you not sad? Like, you know, whatever I'm not. But then there's also times that I'm like sitting in my corner, literal corner in my space. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm good. And then like I have a bad habit of like a week later being like, yeah, 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 yeah. And he's like, you do, sorry, sissy, I scared you, and I probably deafened the people again. Like,
Sorry.
you could have just said that, you know, like a week ago when I asked you. Sometimes it's okay to bottle things up, and I don't mean forever. Sometimes bottling things up means you need to process them internally. There's nothing wrong with that. You should process them internally. If you decide to neglect them and not process
No, the
them
bottling that we're talking about
internally
is
is a bad thing.
bottling it up because you don't want to deal with it.
Correct. That's what I was saying. If you're bottling it up internally to pretend like it doesn't exist,
Yeah.
that is very different than bottling it up to respond.
Because that's like putting
Band-Aid.
Mentos in Diet Coke and then closing the lid.
Oh, yeah. So for me, it was like, I wanted you to understand, but it's also like, I'm the type of person that wears my heart on my sleeve, and I'm also the type of the person that would just do anything for the people I love just to make them happy. So in a sense, I felt like I was putting Band-Aids on a crack. It felt like, I'm not calling you a crack, I'm just saying, it felt like,
Probably an ass crack. That's probably
no.
That's probably a valid description
felt
of my
like
last couple years.
I was putting Band-Aids over, or I was trying to do everything I could to fix you, not fix you, but help you, trying to do everything I could, trying to, like, in a sense, give you the heart off of my sleeve, or I was trying to give you all of the breath that I could to try and keep you afloat. And in a sense, I was trying to fix the problem without fixing the problem, address the problem without actually addressing it. And
do you think that not physically saying how you felt, like literally in whatever said moment, was detrimental?
Yeah,
like
in a
just
way.
being, hey, I don't mean this literally, but hey, you fucked up.
maybe,
Get
yeah.
your shit together.
Yeah, I felt like maybe if I would have said something.
did-
I'm not
know
saying that's
what
what
was-
was happening. I'm
what
just
effect
Yeah.
I was having, and I wasn't realizing what was going on. So I mean, that could have.
Maybe, but
uh,
I mean, I can't guarantee, because we've had, I'm not going to say we haven't had these conversations, because we've had those conversations where I'm like, okay, well, you're not happy, well, let's do this to change this. Or you're not happy, well, let's do that to do that.
That's the thing, though. You've never had the conversation where you told him, I am not happy. It's not always about what he feels. It's a relationship.
Right.
You've never directly turned around and said, I'm not happy. You're making me miserable.
Yeah.
You're making everybody miserable, whatever the case may be.
Because
That
I was
is-
already just subconsciously making it all about me and how I was feeling.
Yeah, and
And there was never a moment where that was otherwise.
that's what I.
And
meant
that's
by
why
being
that's why I'm
selfish
having
about it.
Yeah.
this is so hard for me to get out and let out, because it hurts me so deeply, because I was not a good partner. I was not
Well, I'm going to go down a rabbit
You
hole
know.
in a minute.
who I needed to be
Oh,
for
shit.
you, and that hurts me. And I I really do wish you would have just been like, "Hey, motherfucker, listen up."
Right.
Like the second
Now
that
we
you
can
started
all
feeling like
say
that, it was.
emotional maturity and talking about your emotions. is
I
very
would
important,
much
not
rather in
bottling
that
them
moment
up.
you just look at me and say, "Listen, you're starting to drag me down with you, and like not like trying to beat me down, but like, hey, we're both going down. How can we both come back up?" And that's what I'm worried about right now. Now I'm looking around and seeing that I was dragging both of us down. So now I'm worried about how can I help get both of us back up? Because it's not just going to be one of us that gets us back up. We both
Right.
got to be kicking to get back to the top.
I do want to say I was not putting that on her. I want to make
Yeah,
that
no.
very
No,
clear.
I know.
I was not putting that on her at all. That was not.
Well,
her.
no,
Oh, I
the
know
blame,
that.
The
That's
not
blame
what I
for
was
all
doing.
of the things that have happened lands solely on my shoulders, and I'm the one that has to carry
And
that.
Well,
everyone
no.
addresses things very differently. I
Yeah,
think.
your approach, like between the two of us, my approach is more. I let you know, but it's like on a softer note
That's
to where
how
I'm
I
not
am.
like very. And
And
she
I'm
is very.
very
You're very
direct.
abrasive
Yeah.
to the point that like Because, I mean, it's not, over the 11 years, it's not just been her having issues. I mean, I was super depressed and all that shit. I mean, to the point to where, like, my favorite midnight snack was thinking about my 9 sitting in the fucking closet. Like, I loved it. Like, that would fucking cheer me up on a bad day. But, like, oh, if it's really that bad, like, that's where I was at. But, I mean, obviously that would never happen because I got a wife and kid and responsibilities and all that shit. But I would get to that place, and, I mean, it was also a culmination of a lot of different shit that I was never really able to process and talk about that I just kind of fucking took on the chin. Because, like I said, like, a lot of the stuff, like, with you, I didn't turn to anybody to be like, hey, I'm fucking struggling, I don't know what to do, because it's nobody else's responsibility. To everybody else outside of these 4 walls, she was super mom. She did it all. I took the step back. I didn't, because that's my job for her, to make sure that she's still built up no matter what. But not only that, I mean, that didn't put me into a fucking depression, like, but it was just also a culmination of, like, everything over a long couple years to where I just got to a point where, like, I'm just fucking tapped out mentally. And and the problem with me personally is I'm very self-aware, because, like I said, I've been into, like, the whole mindset manifestation shit for, like, half my life. So I've always been aware of it, but it's just as easy to turn that shit off and just push it to the side and just put my awareness on whatever the fuck misery is in front of me, because I did that shit for like a year and a half. And it was affecting everything. I'd still worked whenever I wanted to, but it was the bare minimum for work. I'd work every, like, maybe once a month. I'd make enough money to cover for the month for bills, and then I'd be like, hey, I hit my fucking goal, I'm not fucking doing anything anymore. Or I'd make a shit ton more money than what I needed, and I'd be like, okay, so now it was never like, okay, I can use this to catapult. It's like, okay, I'm good, I can coast for 6 weeks, and then I'll need to pull another job. Make another 8-9 grand, I can coast for another 6 weeks. We're still peachy. I can fucking stay home, I can do whatever, I can do the shit around the house and take care of the house and do all that stuff and just kind of sink away. And I had gotten to a point to where I also knew there was a lot of underlying issues, like health-wise and all that shit. And I knew that there was also shit that I could change. And so I made the choice, like, hey, because I came out and told her, I was like, hey, I'm fucking miserable. I hate it. We're distant again. We're roommates again. It's my fault. Like, I need to get out of this headspace. This is what I'm going to do to get out. And she was like, okay, do it. Don't talk about it, fucking do it. So, did what I needed to do to get out of it, and we had a fucking conversation night 1 of, like, the whole plan for all that shit. Night 1 of that was us having a knockdown drag out outside to where, like, we were literally screaming at each other for like an hour and a half.
And if you know us, we do not argue.
No, we only
Very
yell at each
rarely.
other. We only start screaming over sauces from McDonald's.
Mm.
Very valid.
But
Forgot
I mean,
the
it
buffalo
was,
sauce.
But I mean, it was probably like one of the top 3 worst fights we ever had, and it was. She's very direct and very abrasive, and that shit does nothing for me. Like, I don't need you to beat me up to tell me something. Like, it doesn't make me sad. It doesn't piss me off. It does nothing. It literally is just like, you're an asshole. Like, this is not necessary. Like, does not benefit me. Detriment. It's not detrimental, beneficial, nothing. It's just, you're an asshole. There's no reason to. We can have a conversation like a fucking civilized person. And you're not a master at that. Like, I can take it
No.
because I have thick skin, but, like, at the same time, I'm like, Jesus Christ, man, like, you said some fucked up shit to me in the 11 years, but that one really fucking, like, tweaked my nuts. Like, come on.
You're
like,
used to it. When she does it to me, I'm like...
But, and I do have to say, like, for me, like, it didn't bother me. But
Yeah.
it was like, listen, I told you what I'm gonna fucking do, and I started it. Like, you have to give me time to do it. Like, get off my back about it, I'm doing it. And ever since, like, we had that talk prior to, and I was like, hey, this is what I'm gonna do, and this is gonna fix everything. Guess what? Start on day 1, we have a fucking argument. Day 2, Skylar comes over, and he's like, typical whatever. The very next week, 5 days later, 6 days later, he comes over again. He's like, holy shit, dude, you're like a completely different person. What the fuck happened this last week? And I was like, oh, fucking plan. That's all it was.
And here's something that you had said, so I'm going to touch on it because I genuinely don't want you to think that
I know.
prior conversation was directed
no,
at you.
I don't think so.
It definitely was. I hope you take it to heart so you
I'm
get
gonna
mad
cry
at
myself
yourself.
to sleep tonight.
We're just a lovely group of folks here. Anyhow, we had, prior to said conversation, we had soft, if you will, conversations because I do try
Sometimes.
to approach things differently sometimes. I do try. I will give myself an A for effort there. And it didn't work. And like for me, there are a lot of things in your life that I am your person for. But there's a lot of things in your life that it doesn't matter what the hell I say. The only person that can figure out is you.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that goes for anybody, though.
Agreed. That's the point in what I was trying to make there. That's why I asked,
Well,
how it affected you.
I
and all
just want to
those
say
questions.
that there is not a piece of me at all that blames you at all. And there is no reason that you should ever feel at all like it was just
But-
because you didn't speak up.
But
Right.
Because I take a lot of that blame because I am a big personality. I think everybody can probably see that. But like when we would talk, I don't even know. It's just so scummy for me to think about that I would do it. But I would just take it all and turn it around to me and how I was feeling. And it's so crazy to think. I would just make it all about me and how bad I felt. And I would make everything and turn it around. And like if you were having a bad day, I would piggyback off of that. And I would, be like, oh, well, here's how bad my day was.
Yeah.
And I would just, I was just doing that. And it was almost like I just wanted to carry all of that. And I just want to live in that. And I want to be in that. And I was just taking all that bad and scooping it up and pulling it to me. And then I was just projecting it out. And it was just, it was so big. And I just made it all about how I was feeling. And that was and that's why I say selfish in the wrong way, because that was 100% the wrong way.
And I'm kind of like you in the sense, correct me if I'm wrong here. I don't think I talked about what I was going through. Did I?
No, the only thing that you said was that he was having a day and that you were annoyed. That was literally the only thing
I
that
never
you said.
let it show. I always kept the mask on of
Well, and
everything's fine.
Right, and what I'm physically talking
Yeah.
about is this exact day when we
Right.
went to lunch, and I'm like, "What the hell is your problem?" Your response was, "He was having a day, and I'm annoyed."
And that's when you'd be like, I would always try to hide the fact, because I didn't talk to my mom about it, I didn't talk to you about it, I didn't tell anybody what I was going through, because I kind of like you, how on the outside, everybody else thought that everything was peachy, and that's how I was portraying it too, because at one point you said, you would ask me some things of like why he was in the mood or why things were, and I would always make excuses.
Correct.
And you would always say, why do you always make excuses? Because for me, I'm like, well, no, everything's fine. He's just having a bad day, or, he's tired, or, I would also make, just try to be like, okay, well.
Which was the truth. But
Right.
But that, it was more than that. It was just
excuses was not benefiting.
I don't even know that
him
was an
progressing.
excuse, because in that moment, that was the information that I was giving her.
Right.
It's not that she was making an excuse for me. Like, I'm tired, but I let that be me. I let
Right.
the exhaustion and the tiredness and the misery be who I was, and that was just everything. That was every decision that I made. That was every emotion that I had. That was every way I handled everything. It was just tired and uncomfortable and misery, and that.
Well, I will
so
say-
that I don't even think that she was making an excuse for me.
She was making an excuse for you to other people, not for you.
No,
Yeah.
I don't
That's
even
what
think.
I mean by that. When I would ask her, she'd just be like, "Oh yeah, well everything is fine," and
Well, yeah.
I was asking her, "Why are you making excuses for him?" I don't mean she was making excuses for you to you.
No, I'm saying
She was making excuses for you to other people.
So she didn't have
she
to
just
explain
wasn't.
what was
I don't
going
think it
on.
was an
It's-
excuse.
yeah,
She just
correct.
wasn't getting to like
Well,
how
it's
bad
not,
it
it's
was.
not even that. It's the fact that instead of her opening up and saying, I don't know what the fuck is going on, this has been an ongoing thing, I'm kind of at a loss here, she would make the excuse of, oh, well, everything's fine, he's just having a moment, or he's tired, or he's doing this, which might have been what you fed her, but that's not what she was doing it for. She was doing it so that nobody would ask any more questions.
Correct. That's what I
To
am
where-
trying. That's what I'm trying to.
Because
explain.
I
It
would
just wasn't
also,
coming out.
I would feed her that, like, oh, I'm just having a moment, or I'm having a bad day.
but
I'll be
that's the
better.
thing
I'll be
is,
better.
It's not, if it's a constant 20, I'm just going to say 24/7 because it's a constant 24/7. If it's an ongoing everyday issue of, like, you're not always fucking a miserable prick because you're tired 24/7. If you are, figure your shit out. Like, go to bed earlier. Like, if that's what you were constantly telling her, it's like, oh, I'm just tired, then you're like, well, then fucking go to bed earlier, do something. Like, make a little change. Don't go to bed earlier. Sleep 2 hours, sleep 12 hours, whatever, figure it out. But at some point, it's like, if she starts getting affected by whatever it is, and it doesn't matter what line of bullshit you try to feed her, to just not involve her as much as you can, because I get why you did it. But at some point, when it's a constant thing and she's getting more and more emotionally worn down, that mask starts to fall to where she can't hide it anymore, to where she's just in a pissy mood more than regular, and so
And then
everybody's
people
like,
start asking.
what the fuck is your
There should be
problem?
Or-
Because, I mean, I'm going to be completely honest here, and this is, take it for what it is, but, like, I make jokes about, like, I beat therapy. Like, legitimately, I got kicked out of going to therapy when I had a whole bunch of, like, family shit go on, because my therapist literally said, like, we're wasting each other's time here because you are too self-aware to be here. Everything that I ask you, you have the exact answer of, like, what a emotionally intelligent person, and she's like, you can read situations very well. She's like, I'm letting you go as a client because you are too self-aware for therapy. And I was like, that's my problem. I understand all of this. It's just I'm not putting the fucking implementation into it. That's
Yeah.
the problem. And she gets pissed off at me about it all the time because I tell her what she's doing way before she ever fucking opens her mouth. And I mean, let's be honest here. How many conversations, how many times did they leave? And as soon as they left, I'm like, Corey's fucking miserable. And I'm like, do you know what's going on? And you're like, no idea. I was like, well, he's trying to hide it as best as he can. And I mean, it was what, like a week? The last time that you guys were over, prior to, like, this whole conversation, you guys left, and I'm like, holy shit, dude. I was like, I love them to death, but I was like, both of them are fucking miserable. I was like, and somebody needs to open their fucking mouth. I was like, because I was like, it's rough. And that goes for both of you. Like, not just, like, and this isn't me being an asshole, but this is because I see through a lot of people's bullshit. Like, I can just cut through the stuff because I've been there, done that, got the t-shirt for it. I can read people like a fucking book. It was very obvious to me, but again, it's not my place to open my mouth and be like, hey, you need to get a rein on this, or hey, put your shit in check, because at the end of the day, I love you to death, take it for what it is. I don't fucking care. I'm not losing any sleep over if you guys go home and fucking jerked off at each other and sleep in other rooms. I don't care. If you're miserable 24/7, you don't want to talk to anybody, and you refuse to talk to anybody, I don't fucking care. That's a you problem. And if you want to open up, cool. I'll fucking tell you all the shit. We can have the conversation, a one-sided conversation that I'll just fucking spill all the beans to you and be like, oh yeah, I was gonna fucking say all that. Yeah, I know. But it was getting to the point, and again, this is just my perspective on it, because again, I don't know what other people, if it was blatantly obvious to other people, but it was like painfully fucking obvious to me, to where I was like, should, like, we have them come back over and I can have like a fucking intervention with them and be like, hey, what the fuck's going on? Because you're pissed off and miserable about everything. You're fucking barely holding it together. Like, you guys need to fucking talk or split, do something, like move out, sleep in other bedrooms, go stay at the model for a night, like go to go to your parents' house, do it all day long, like find a fucking happy median here to either circle back or fucking take a break.
And it wasn't even that it was anything between us. Like, we were having
Yeah.
issues between us. It was just me
No, but that's-
sucking the life out of everything.
But that's
So
what
that's where it looked like we were having
Yeah.
problems between us, but it was just me the whole
I mean,
time.
and I will say, other than, well, I guess this is not really a different statement, but other than the people that we work with, difference here, or not difference here, we literally work together outside of being friends. We are together almost every day. Not so much now, but we were together every single day, and I just so happened to catch your not very happy mood on the day that I was there.
Yeah, and it's something that I didn't even know. I didn't really know. Like,
You had no earthly idea
No,
that you
so
were
I'm
in a
saying-
mood.
No,
Like,
yeah.
none.
No, I mean, like, I knew that I was going through it, but at the same time, I didn't know I was going
Well,
through it.
that's
if
just
that
like
makes
me
sense.
coming over here with
didn't
you
know that
guys.
other people could see it.
I would,
Yes, I
I would
guess that's-
100% just try to be normal over here with you guys because obviously I love you guys and I want to spend time with you, and but
When
coming
you love
just
and care
it was
about someone,
forcing.
It is obvious.
It was so. I would have to force myself to come and try to be normal for you guys because that's what I want. That's who I want to be. That's who I am. I love hanging out with people and I love being a people person. So, but I mean, I hate that it was that obvious
will
because I
say-
tried.
but
I had no
that's
idea.
on backtrack to that, that's a me problem because I'm that way with literally everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Like it does not fucking matter. I read a situation with my eyes closed. Like it just.
Well,
it's-
then let me ask you this:
it's how
since
it
I've
is.
had 2 weeks to change the way that I'm looking at things, did you notice a difference in me today? Have you noticed
Oh
a
yeah,
difference
100%.
in me today?
Because you're. But that's the thing is that like, when I found out that you guys had that conversation, I mean, and you can attest to this. My exact words were, "This is either going to be a great thing, and it will be the start of a change, or he'll be right back to where he was in 2 weeks. They're going to split in a year." And that's exactly what I told you. I was like,
Verbatim.
it's going to go one way or another. I was like, I'm glad that he finally had the fucking revelation of this is what he needs to do and he's aware of it. I was like, but now, is he going to continue to be aware of it, or is he going to fall into the trap that most people do and go right back into the cycle, and that's going to be 10 times worse in a month, and then 6 months to a year down the road, you're finally going to fucking blow a gasket and be like, I cannot do this anymore. Like, I'm out.
Well,
and then it's going to be fucking World
That's
War
the
III
thought
emotionally.
that keeps me moving every day is
And
that
it
that could happen.
should.
Yeah, oh yeah,
And
100%.
it shouldn't be a terrifying thought. It should be a motivating.
Well, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
but I don't want that. It is terrifying to me, but it is my motivation. It's a terrifying motivation.
Correct.
Like that. I'm not looking at it like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Well, I am. That it's so weird because to me that is terrifying, but that's
Right.
what's going to
Should be.
keep me. That's what's going to keep me going because I'm
It
not doing
shouldn't
that.
keep you shaking in your boots. It should keep you moving forward.
No.
That's the kind of terrifying I mean.
That is exactly what it is. That is
I
what's
will
I'm
say-
running from that. Now I don't want to. I'm going to keep going that way.
I will say, and this is just my thoughts, in my opinion of your entire situation, which I do not live. And I will tell you, like I told Reno, I love you and I care about you because you are a bipartisan of her, for a better lack of words. I met you through her. Not that I don't care about you, because I do. I love you and I care about you. Obviously, that's part of the reason we are having this conversation. That was what started the conversation. I think, in my opinion, it speaks volumes that you are sitting here talking about this when, granted, we've taken a break from podcasting. But we podcasted
it's my fault.
for well over a year.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Right? Okay. Focus. We podcasted for well over a year, I would say. Right at a year.
Almost.
And we were doing pretty dang good at it. How many times did I ask you, or ask Lainey, hey, you think Corey would want to come podcast? Or I'd ask you, hey, you want to come podcast? And the look on your face was like I literally just shit in your lap. Like,
Because
shit
I
in my
was
lap, can you come clean this up, please?
I was afraid that the wrong topic would come up, and that the wrong question would get asked that I wouldn't have the answer for, or that I would have to answer that would be opening up the things that I was trying to hide from the world. And
But that's the
you
point.
know.
You have to get comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's exactly where I'm at right now. And I knew that the second we talked about this, I said absolutely, because I was in a place where I didn't know what was happening. I wasn't aware of what was going on, and I thought, everything's fine, we're fine, everything's fine. And that's just what happens to you. And if me speaking these words and saying what happened to me, where I was at, and what helped me, get out of it and start moving forward with my life and becoming a better person. If one single person hears this and it can make a difference in any way whatsoever, would be the best thing for me, because I know that I wish that something or somebody could have gotten to me sooner. Because that's my only regret, is that this happened for as long as it did, and it got as bad as it got without me realizing it or getting out of it or changing something before now. Because I'm not afraid of it anymore. I was afraid of it for a long time because it was a
It was
shameful thing. It was a shameful. I was ashamed. I was disappointed, and I just felt nasty, and I felt like a horrible human being. And then I just was in it, and I just want to deal with it myself, and I don't want to defect anybody else. But it was.
Well, I remember that.
It was affecting everybody around me.
I don't mean to cut you off, but I'm not forgetting this. Ultimately, it's not the fact that all that it was your ego keeping you in check, because you knew that either you spoke about it and you had the people in place already around you that if you spoke about this shit 2 years ago, you would have been out of the woods 2 years ago, because that's just how it is. I mean, I've been teaching this shit to thousands of people for 10 years now. Like, I'm fucking balls deep in this, which I'm going to jump in the rabbit hole in a minute for a couple things that you said. But, I mean...
I'm just kidding.
But your ego kept you in check with bottling that shit up because it knew that it needed to have a death grip on you. So, the only way to keep a death grip on you was to shut you the fuck up, because it knew that as soon as you open your mouth, then it starts to lose the power. So, until that moment of where you were able to kind of take that step back for just a second to where you had that epiphany, so to speak, then you realize, like, okay, time for a change. And so that thing lost its power, and
when you lose your ego, you become vulnerable.
Yeah, well, not only that, I mean, like, and a lot of people say, it's like, oh, you have to have an ego death to do whatever. To a degree, yes, but I don't think of it, so to speak, as like an ego death. It's more about keeping your awareness on the fact of where your ego was at, because your ego is always going to keep you in a comfortable spot.
Well, I was also worried about the perception that you guys had of me, and that's what I was focusing on, and that was the wrong way to go about it.
I will never forget when Lainey called me, or I called you. I actually do not remember. I'll be 100% with you. And you're like, do you want to tell her, or do you want me to tell her? And I don't think, I could be wrong, I don't think I have ever, and this is not a me thing, I just said words, that's all I said. I don't think I've ever pissed someone off and scared them so much. And that's not a me thing. I literally said words that anyone in this room could have said. But I hope anyone who is watching this, find yourself a friend that's going to piss somebody off.
Yeah.
Because when you piss somebody off, it's going to do something or it's not. And if it doesn't do something, what's the point?
Yeah, because I don't mean it like that. I was just mad. I mean, that was probably top 5 most angriest I've ever been.
And I told you I did not apologize for it.
It wasn't you. It was the thought that it made me have. It was
Correct.
It was the thing that was said. It wasn't you, because you were not trying.
But at the same time,
to hurt my feelings.
That's exactly where it comes into what I was saying. That was the only reason that you had that reaction and you were angry about it, so to speak, is because your ego took the hit and then it realized, like, oh fuck, I've kind of been uncovered here, because once that fucking death grip got loosened, you can fucking think for yourself, essentially. That one thing that it knows that it has more power than where you were at just got thrown into the wrench. So that fucking white knuckle grip that it had just got a fucking hand blown off of it. So the first thing that it's gonna do is like, okay, fucking cycle through everything. He's just super pissed off. Like, let's just fucking hammer in how mad he is, because then maybe he can, because it was either your ego turned around and was like, it pisses you off, so then you're pissed off, you dwell in those angers, so it was hoping that you would just shut everybody out and be like, fuck you guys, I'm not being, like, we're not friends anymore.
Yeah.
Kick rocks, and then you can fucking stay by yourself in your little fucking bubble.
And I told you that. I said,
sorrow
let
and-
the pissed offness be your fuel.
Yeah.
To change
'Cause
whatever it is.
She can tell you, and now that you're giving me that example of the two hands and one hand getting blown off, as that hand was coming back in trying to grab again, that's where I was so angry about what was said, and I couldn't believe it, and oh my God, and I got a glimpse of what was under the hand before it got back, and I was able to knock that hand away.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I got to see what's in here first. And that is a perfect metaphor for what happened. I got to see what it was hiding the whole time.
And that's the big thing with the ego and all that.
Because it was, I mean, it was like Maya. It was just initial. Like she said it, I went and worked out, and I just got more angry and more angry and more angry over like an hour, and then I called her, and it was just fury.
I mean, it was just like he wasn't yelling at me, but he was so angry. He's
He
like
was yelling to you. There's a difference.
Yeah, it was so angry. He's like, how dare she say something like that? How does she know? And I'm sitting here going, she's speaking from experience.
And I don't want you to think that
No,
I wasn't trying to
no.
be that.
did
That
not
was
at
a 100% knee jerk reaction.
Yeah,
That was not because the second I processed it,
yeah.
she could see it the
Oh,
moment
I
that it happened.
saw it. Because I was explaining to him, I was like, I started getting emotional. Like, I started shutting down for a second, and then when he came to pick me up, because I was, like, crying in the office. And he came to pick me up. We go to park the truck, and we're still talking about it. And he's like, he was still just angry. He's, like, not understanding. And it's like, I'm sitting here explaining it to him, but he still hadn't fully processed it. I was like, she's been there before. I said, she's saying it out of a place of love and because she cares. No, like, you guys have obviously talked about you wanting to leave me. Like, there had to have been something said for her to say that. And I was like, no, like, she's genuinely speaking from experience of, like, well, why'd she say I need to get it together? Then I'm just not understanding it. And then all of a sudden, as he's saying that, it was like,
Somebody finally turned the lights on in the house.
the veil dropped, and you could see it on his face. Like, I wish I would have had a camera. I wish I had, like, you know the thing in Dumbledore's office of Harry Potter? Sorry if you don't know. If you don't know, you should know. So, the part where he, like, takes the wand and he takes that memory out of his head and he puts it in that little bowl and Harry puts his head in and you could see that moment. I wish I could do that just so that other people could see what it was like for him when he finally fit the puzzle pieces together. And it was just like, oh my God.
My first,
And he
my
like he
first words
legit.
were, "I'm going to kill her."
Yes, he said, I'm gonna kill her. Do you think she wants to be buried or cremated? What do you think will be the best method?
I told her I knew how to get
And-
away with it too.
How am I gonna get away with it?
No, not
It
how. I
was
already knew how I was
legit.
going to get away with it.
Does she want me to? I mean, it was like he was plotting your death, and I was like,
fine.
I'm crying. I'm like, you're not gonna kill her. I was like, but the moment of epiphany, like, it made me so happy. Like, I was already crying because I was like, you're not getting it. And he's like, I'm not getting it. It was like a moment of like, whoosh, and like his hands were up to his head and his hair, and he was like, oh my God. Oh my God.
I don't think I'll ever unlive that moment, and I don't think I'll ever forget that moment. I think I'll carry that feeling and that moment with me for the rest of my life.
He was like, you guys were trying to tell me, and I just wasn't. Oh my! It was me. I'm
See,
the problem.
so
Like that
glad-
moment.
Like 100%, I am so glad that conversation was had with her and not me, because when it gets to that point, my biggest thing is we've had arguments about this shit. You weren't listening to hear; you were listening to respond,
Correct.
Yes.
and that shit pisses
it was the
me off.
defense. It was the
Beyond
defense.
belief, like a legitimate, like I just want to fucking smack you in the face. It goes for anybody, with her, with you, with whoever.
In
Like,
his defense, he has never done so.
no, I mean obviously I'd never
Nah.
actually do it with anybody, but
He
that's,
wants to.
Like my thought process behind that is
we
the
would
fact
have
of,
ended
like,
up, if that was me and you sitting in my truck, we would have ended up fucking arguing.
Oh,
Yo,
100%,
yeah.
Because, like, legitimately, while you're telling the story, like, because like I'm very cutthroat with a lot of this shit.
Yeah.
Where it's like, shut the fuck up. You don't know what you're talking about. This is why. You are the problem. This is your fault. This is your fault. This is what you need to do to change it. Get the fuck out of your own way and do it.
Yeah.
Because I've also dealt with it personally, dealt with it other people. Like I said, I'm way down in the rabbit hole, and there's a couple things that I'm still going to jump down. But it's like, for me, being aware of all this information and knowing how it actually is, like, it's painfully fucking easy. And if you don't want to do it or hear it, then just know that you're fucking wrong and you're a dumbass. Like, that's my take on it.
Yeah.
This still, I'm so glad we're doing this, because I feel like this is really good to talk about. It's still super hard for me to hear, because I feel like we're talking about somebody that's not me.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that, what I was, how I was interacting, the way that I was, who I had become, was not me. So it's hard for me to hear that is who we're talking about, because I know I'm not like that. She knows I'm not like that. She knows exactly like that wasn't me, that was a way that I had let myself get to. So it feels like I'm getting roasted right now, but I'm also, on the other side of that coin, feel like I'm roasting that piece of me that I want to die anyway.
Well, I mean, it's not that, it's regardless, it's not that you're getting roasted, because, like, all right, so I'll jump down the rabbit hole a little
Not
bit.
what I meant. No, you see, but you understand what I'm saying.
Well,
Like, it's
I've
a
got
hard
to.
thing.
I've got
Go
to,
ahead.
because there's so many fucking loose ends that need to get tied
Hold
up.
on.
All right, you finish your sentence.
Everyone gave you the pieces to the puzzle,
The only one that can put it together was me.
and it was up to you.
And you gave me pieces. And I told her this. I said that exact same thing. You gave me pieces. You gave me pieces. You gave me pieces. My dad, I would argue with my dad on a daily basis, because I was just like, nope, you don't get it. You don't understand.
Everyone gave you
Yep.
pieces. You physically had them in your hand, staring at them, but the only person that could put that puzzle together
And that's
was you.
exactly what he said. And the moment that he said, "Oh, it was me this whole time. Woe was me. It was me. I'm the problem."
Yes.
And then that's when he said,
Yes, you are.
"That's when I did." I was like, "Yeah." I mean, I finally admitted it. I was like, "Yes." And then I went,
You grew
"That's
a pair of balls. You
that's-
stood up.
yeah." That's when he's like, "I'm gonna kill her." And that's I was still crying. I was crying about his epiphany, and I was like admitting it to him as much as he was admitting it to me. And that's when he said, "I'm gonna kill her." And I was like, "No, you're not," because I'm already crying. I'm like, "You're not gonna kill her. You love her."
It's not that I wanted to. I was just.
No, I know.
Yeah.
that was my pride. Like, God dang it, she was right. I was wrong. Nobody likes to admit that they're wrong. Come on.
Never apologize.
That
for
wasn't
that.
my ego. That was my pride. My pride had been severely damaged, but fair play, because it deserved to be, because I was acting like, what did you call me? A crack? I was
Right.
a crack.
The biggest lesson I've learned from this is A,
Just talk to me.
talk to you about it. B, let you know when you're fucking up.
Mhm.
And to let you know, okay, hey, you're doing it again.
Just check me.
Hopefully it will never come
No,
to
no,
that
no,
point.
no.
But if it ever does,
No, because
It's-
I'm gonna have days, and we already
Right.
talked about this. You just gotta check me.
yeah, and now I'm not afraid to let you know. Now I've learned
Well, I
the
mean,
biggest thing I've learned from this is to A, don't hide it, don't push it under a rug, don't put on a mask. Grow my set of balls, put on my Chris penny, so to speak, as I say a lot, and be confrontational
You're
and be
welcome for that.
prepared. Thank you.
I check
And be
your shit
prepared.
all the time.
Yeah.
I expect nothing less from
Right,
you.
and that's what I've learned from
I
this.
tell people now, on a side note, when, like, my leasing specialist at my other property, she is pregnant. Anyone that I meet, even if they do not ask for my unwanted advice,
You gonna get it.
I will provide it to you
I
whether
sure-
you ask or not.
I sure did.
I tell anyone that I meet
I
that
sure
is
got it.
pregnant, even if they're not asking, I'm like, you know, obviously how's it going, blah, blah, all the things. I'm like, you need to make sure you got someone to check you when you can't check yourself. Because like we talked about, I didn't know. I was literally thoughtless.
I was
But
running
make
rampant,
sure-
unchecked, just.
And that's the thing, whether you're pregnant or not, that's not the point of what I'm saying, but mine was relation to pregnancy. But make sure you have someone to check you when you can't check yourself.
And I think that's where I ended up, because I was just running
Yeah.
unchecked. And I was running rampant with it, and it also feels good to me that especially you being the way that you are, and
He's hard sometimes.
It feels good to me to have a little bit of acknowledgement that I am on the right path, that you can see that I'm better and more aware and I'm not being the way that I was.
Well, there's, like I said, so like I was saying with me going down the rabbit hole and all that stuff is like, what? Am I not allowed to? Like, do I need to just not have that conversation?
Well, good night, folks.
I don't
I'm
know
just
what
kidding.
the conversation was. I was just
Oh.
being silly.
But I mean, so the whole point of all this is like,
We'll end it on here because this is like 3 hours long.
Yeah.
it's 2 and some change.
Jesus.
That's fine. So I'll go on a little
We obviously have a
rabbit
lot to talk
hole
about.
bit at
Well,
the
then-
end, and then, well, I mean, I could literally go for another 4 hours because I
Yeah.
haven't even started talking. I've just been silent.
Not
the whole time.
tonight.
Sorry,
No.
I took this one over. Sorry.
No, I mean,
Okay.
that's the whole point of doing more than one. But anyway, so like, the whole gist behind all this is like, and that's why I said earlier, you can mix it with religion or the woo-woo bullshit, however you want to do it. It's the same shit. Like, it's all the same stuff. So if like, you believe in God, like, we are God. We have the same power as God. God and us, we co-create.
Well, you're not going down that conversation tonight.
I'm not. I'm doing
Okay.
an overview because I need
This
to
is
do
going to
that.
be part 2. We're going to pick up.
Oh, hell yeah.
But so you have to. That's part of it, or it could be just the other side where it's all the universe stuff. However the fuck you want to look at it, it's the same shit.
He created
Either
us
way.
in his likeness, so that is the example that I am providing via your statement.
Amen.
I mean, that's fine. However, like I said, however you want to look at it. If you want to look at it through the lens of God or the universe, it's the same shit, just a different label.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so since we have His power, and I'm going to use God for this because I've gone down, like, that's going to be a whole other story, but like, we are just as powerful as God. We have all the same fucking tools that He does to create. We create our own reality. We create the world that we live in. We all have these little fucking bubbles around us. That's our personal reality of the way we perceive things. And you two and us two, all 4 of us, have our individual bubbles that they don't mesh, they don't do anything, they just kind of overlap and we can be around each other. But your bubble has a defined set of rules for how life is and how you view things and how you take things and how things work out. You have one, you have one, and I have one. They're all different shit. So, your set of rules that you have in your little bubble, it does not matter if you guys see the exact same thing, you guys take 2 different stances on it. You see it
Right.
2 different ways. You are aware of 2 different, completely different things. You guys can have the best fucking day ever, and you're over the moon and you feel like a little kid because you got to see whatever the fuck happened, whatever during your day made it so great. But you were walking out of the grocery store and you dropped a bag and something got scraped up. So your whole day is ruined and you had a dog shit day because of one little thing that you let grab a hold of you, because that was where your awareness was. You were not looking for anything good. You were constantly looking for the negative. So your awareness and your perspective was completely different than hers.
Always waiting on the shoe to drop.
Exactly. And when it comes down to it, like, you hold all the power, you hold all the cards in your hands to have however the fuck you want life to go. And what you do with that is up to you. Like you were saying, now, you went from being in the negative spot to now, and this is where it starts to get tricky with it, because I'm going to check you, so to speak, to make sure that you don't get stuck in this next phase.
Mhm.
You made the statement that now you are trying to get better every day.
Mhm.
You're not trying to do anything, it's already done.
Right.
So putting it out there and putting in the perspective of I'm trying, you're going to be 45 still trying to get better,
Right.
because that's the viewpoint that you're in. Whatever you want you're doing, it's done. It's already happened. The past doesn't exist. The future doesn't exist. It's all fucking memories. It's
I
all
think
thought
Yoda said it
processes.
best.
All that right now is right now.
Do or do not.
Yeah.
There is no try.
Yeah.
I
It's,
actually just made a comment on a girl that I follow's Facebook post. I don't remember what she was like, oh, I might have -0 in my bank account, but I'm still going to go look at houses that are worth $1 million and be like, I don't like the way this kitchen layout is.
no, yeah, 100%.
and she's fantastic. Her content is amazing. But my comment to her post was, Sometimes you have to live in your head like it already exists.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
And
the only way to do it.
maybe I don't mean that I'm going to try to get better because I already feel better, and I think maybe what I want is to just continue to take a step to be better. You know what I mean? Like I'm not trying to, I think I might have just said that the wrong way.
And that's fine. I mean, however you.
Because I don't feel like I'm just sitting here and be like, oh well, maybe in the future I'm gonna,
No, but that's the.
I get what you're saying.
Place
Yeah.
Once you kind of have that epiphany, for anything and anybody, is that next step is like, it can either be stuck in this limbo to where for the next 2 years you're like, where the fuck did the last 2 years go? Nothing has really changed. I'm still having the same issues. What's going on?
Yeah.
Or you slip back into whatever. And I don't think, from the conversation, and I don't ever think that you really have to worry about going back to there because, one, you're already aware of it enough, and the comment that was made that, like, Chapter asked so much was enough of an emotional jolt that you needed to be at the forefront of your mind. It's not going to be able to kind of get pushed to the side and shuffled around to where it just gets forgotten off in the back of everything, because at the end of the day, good or bad, your life gets stacked with a certain set emotional charge and what you put gravity to off of either an emotional positive or an emotional negative. So if you have one 5-second instance of something that's so emotionally jarring to you in a negative way, it's very easy to stack that shit on top of it because your nervous system felt that.
Yeah.
And same with the
And
opposite.
I think I was lucky because when I realized this and I did make that change, I realized I was already hyper aware that it's very easy to just, like, okay, I had this conversation, now everybody thinks I'm better. Whew, got that out of my way. Like, I could just slide right back into that.
Yeah.
But I know that that's not what I want because it was so much of a jolt to me. Like, hey, bro, it's time to wake up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, I can feel even in my day-to-day, that's usually a hard time to start feeling the changes immediately is just in your day-to-day. Like, you can take big, moments and make it seem like it's, oh, this is really making a difference. But, like, in the day-to-day, in the trenches, when you're just at work doing your normal things, I've had situations already in the last couple of weeks that even she has said, before, that would have sent you off and the rest of your day would have been fucked. But I have talked to her, I have talked about it, I have dealt with it, and I've moved on. Because I've had some of the same things, the little things that would really just ruin my whole day, that would send me off onto a spiral that I've been able to handle in the proper way now.
And that's a good thing, because that's where a lot of people mess up is, like, once you're aware of that shit, it's very easy to kind of take your foot off the gas because it's so comfortable being with whatever, because, like, you being in that state for so long is just second nature at this point. That's what your homeostasis is, so to speak. So anything outside of that realm is uncomfortable. It can even be like on a genuine nervous system feel that it's uncomfortable. You feel anxiety, you feel uncomfortable, you're just not at ease. But you staying aware of that, and again, like I was saying earlier, like, the past and future don't really exist. You can jump back on your past and completely revise what you've been through. You could take the last, we'll say, 4 years of you being in a shitty headspace and be like, legitimately, you can, in your head, constantly go back to that and be like, no, I've never had to deal with this. It's always been easy. I've always seen the positive. Everything's always worked for me. Everything's always been easy. Everything just falls in my lap, so to speak, whatever. Our relationship has always been X, Y, and Z. And you can say that so often that your subconscious and your ego get on board with that, to where when you look back at it, you're still, it's not like it just fucking magically erases what happened. You're still aware of it, but you're not attached to it anymore.
But I don't have to, you don't have to be negative about the negative.
No, exactly.
Yeah,
It's everything always works for you.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you can literally do that with anything. Like, with the people that work with me in my business, I'm polar opposite of them. And
We're polar opposite.
yeah, I mean, we'll use us for example. For me, like, I am so ingrained into the whole manifestation and co-creation of your life and all this stuff that, like, it does not fucking matter what anybody says or what anything happens to me. That's how it is. Like, I know in the fucking fiber of my being that that's how it is. And I've known a lot and I've learned a lot, but I've also grown a lot more recently from newer people that I found that kind of also full circle brought me back, because I was very against religion for a while. I grew up Roman Catholic, all that shit. I was in church 3 times a week. Fucking hated it. Wanted nothing to do with it. I ran as far away as possible from it as possible. I mean, I could read the Bible. I've read the Bible from cover to cover. Wanted nothing to do with it. Anytime that there was that deviation there, I knew that it was interchangeable with the
Don't get too far on this topic.
I'm not going to, but it gets kind of brought in. I would go more towards like the spiritual universe side and be like, oh, I don't want to talk about any of that, like religious wise. Then I found somebody that kind of tied them in together, and I'm like, oh, holy shit, this is fucking awesome. And it sent me down a completely different pathway that I've learned a lot more stuff, not religious wise, but that has made a lot of sense, and it's kind of brought me to listen to a lot of his shit that's completely like done a 180 on a lot of the stuff. Because prior to, yes, I knew that we created our own destinies or realities or whatever you want to put it in there, but it was always like, okay, obviously there's a lag point for what's inside to what's seen outside. Inside's the cause, outside's the effect. Obviously there's like a lag point because it can't be instantaneous like that on a outer 3D thing, because I mean, for Christ's sake, how many times, like, you could be playing a video game like, oh Jesus Christ, I want to kill myself. Well, if that instantly happened, guess what? You should be dead. So obviously there has to be a delay here, because sometimes we say stupid shit that we don't mean and don't want to happen, and
It's reaction.
That was.
Yeah.
I'm
So
sorry.
there-
That
there's
that
gotta
wasn't
be-
meant to be funny, but that really was funny.
oh, but I mean, if you
We
if
can
you
laugh
really think
because
about it,
us as women hear you guys say it on video
Oh, yeah,
games
100%.
all the time.
but I mean, and that's
I
a
don't.
great
I don't get
example
like
for it.
that when I.
No.
Oh, I
don't.
do.
You
I'll
have
go in.
before, but
Well, okay.
It's like you
I
go
typically
off
don't
the
go.
deep end about some stupid shit, and then it immediately happens, and guess what? Your whole life is fucking ruined.
I don't know. I just
Like-
right now. I know you're trying to be like ultra serious, but I'm just.
Oh no, I'm not.
Because at work I hear the guys say it all the time,
Hmm?
and I just had a big, like, if they just would just drop, and it just like
But I mean, if you think about it, that's why
that's
there's
crazy.
a delay.
Yeah.
But again, that plays a part into it. But the whole point behind it is, like you said, that you're always going to want to strive to be better, which is always the case. That's exactly how you want to do it. But you should also not focus on that as much as not focus on the journey, because the journey is going to come no matter what. But you're already there. You're already exactly where you want to be. Your relationship exactly how it is. You look how you want to look. Your health is already there. It does not matter what you see out here currently. None of that shit matters. Acknowledge it, but don't dwell on it and don't dive into it.
Yeah.
Like with the health issue stuff and the shit that you guys are both trying to get in shape and do whatever. You already took the necessary steps to get the non-gym and food part out of it. Get your hormonal side checked.
Mhm.
That is, everybody says it's not a magic drug, but when you are in the area that you were in, it is a magic drug.
Yeah.
Hands down, it's a magic drug. That's the only issue that you have. That affects every other thing. It's not,
This should be another podcast.
well, I mean, this plays into it.
Okay.
But how come I'm getting shut down the first time I've talked this whole fucking
It's not been
podcast?
the first time you've talked the entire podcast.
I get cut off every time that I get into good some
I
good
hate it when
Because
mom
you
and
go
dad
down a really
fight.
long rabbit hole and it's 2:30 in the morning.
shit. Okay, and whose fault is that? Not mine.
Welcome
I will
to
say-
my
I'll
life.
say this last night, but just a comparison for it. So you've taken the hormonal side of it. That is the root cause for a lot of your health issues. Not a lot, all of your fucking health issues. Let's get real here. Now, it's taking the time. Yes, it's taking longer than expected because they have to find the right range. for
Yeah,
what
I
you
still
need.
don't think that I'm where I need to be with
And
that,
you're-
but I'm
you're
working on
probably
it. Yeah.
not. But at the same time, you've doubled your numbers already. They've upped your dosage, so your numbers are going to go up again. You're getting closer to that perfect little mark. It's going to take a little bit of time. Oh well, that's the way the game goes. But you have the answer to 100% of your health problems. It's already said and done. You're not sitting here trying to go on the internet and search up every fucking symptom that you have of like, well, what the fuck do I need to do? What do I need to do? You already have your answer. You already have your solution. Now it's taking that delayed time to find that sweet spot about what you need without causing issues, unnecessary issues.
Yeah.
So,
Side effects.
What you're,
Yeah.
I think, I'm like playing this over in my brain what you're saying, and I think this might be a good example of it. It's like you're on the computer and you're typing in the commands, and then there's a delay, and then you got to wait for the piece of paper to come out of the printer.
Mhm.
That's exactly what I'm seeing in
exactly.
my
I
mind
mean,
right now.
that's the whole
I've
thing,
already
because,
typed it all
like,
up, and we've hit print, and now we're just, it's like a 1980s printer. We're just waiting on that thing to come out.
because I mean, if you think about it, like, because if you're in the end, so to speak, that's what a lot of people like to say in the niche of it.
Or like you're writing
is
a paper.
You're already living in the end of it's already said and done. The journey's going to happen one way or another. It might take 2 days. It might take 2 years. Who fucking knows? It's going to happen. It's a guarantee. And that coincides with, like, you've got your hormonal side of it that is
Excuse me.
the fucking little dark bastard that's causing all your health problems. And I mean literally every single one of your health problems. Like, you've got that figured out. You've already got your solution. It's a guarantee, because at the end of the day, it is statistically impossible for you to be one of 8 billion people on the earth that hormones don't work for. I'm sorry, you're not from outer space. You're a typical fucking human that thrives off the proper hormone balances in your body. So, you found the cause, the root cause of everything, health-wise and mental-wise. You're getting it fixed, because it's already done. You don't have to go and search every night of the week for another month of what could possibly be wrong with me. You found out you have low testosterone. That is the predominant factor for literally everything that is going wrong, health-wise for you, and mental-wise, because having your hormonal levels out of balance completely throws off your mental. And so now, if you kind of take that into account for everything, whole world-wise, of like your viewpoint is, I already have the solution for what is done. It's already handled. Now, I don't need to stress out. I don't need to do anything. It's already said and done. Like,
Yeah, because even after I started taking the testosterone, I was still trying to figure out what was wrong with me, because I didn't feel any different. I didn't feel any better. I didn't feel like I was doing anything.
and that's the thing is,
But-
like, it doesn't matter. And if you would stay in that headspace, you could literally have optimal, perfect fucking hormonal
And
levels
still-
and everything, and you would still feel like dog shit, because that's all that you know. Like,
That's
it's
the piece of
placebo
paper I printed
effect.
out.
Yeah, that's the placebo effect that you've got, that like, oh, I'm literally the only person in the history of mankind that my hormone levels were at the levels of like a fucking 12, 13-year-old girl. As an adult male, I got them fixed, and hormones don't work for me. I'm the outlier in all of humanity. That's like essentially where you're going, to where you got your answers, you're still searching for your shit, because you're like, oh, well, this must not work for me. This probably...
I literally had that thought, because I literally said that to her.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's where it kind of comes into play, like, across the board. Like, instead of worrying about anything at all, everything's already handled. Wherever it is, be very specific about where you are, where you plan on being for life, like you already are there, because you already made the switch, the shit's already done. Like, everything is, I mean, none of this shit's real. It's all just atoms. It's all vibrating. That's it. If I get lucky and point
Poink.
at this thing enough times, my fucking finger and my hand are just gonna shoot through the wall and come back. Like,
It's
at
for a
some
whole
point.
conversation.
No, I know that, but
That's going to be way too confusing for the topic of the podcast.
okay. Anyway, I'll just leave it there, because she wants me to stop talking, so I won't give any more
I'm getting
good
tired.
knowledge. But essentially, you just have to live in the end of, you're not trying to do anything. You're not trying to get better. You're already there.
Well,
it's
I
already
think-
handled.
I think off of that, my closing would be that just deciding all of the things that like everything that you've heard me talk about, and I've just made that decision in my brain. I have 100% felt so much better, lighter. I felt, I told her, I was like, I might still be tired because I'm still going through a transition period, but I'm choosing not to focus on that. And it's made me feel better every day. And I feel like every day, I feel like I'm just getting better one day at a time, because I just, like I told her, like I was like, you know what, this whole week, I haven't even thought about it. I haven't even had a thought in my brain to stop and think, how tired am I? how do I feel? Like, am I bad? Do I feel bad still? Like, I'm not even having those thoughts. And it has changed everything for me. Like, today, I slept in a little bit because it was just my day off, so I slept in a little bit later. But usually when I would do that, like when she had to go to work, I would get up late, and then I'd end up going to lay on the couch, and then I'd sleep, and then I wouldn't do anything. But I literally, the second I got up, I ate my food, and then I went and did the things that I wanted to do today. You know, I didn't really do much. I just kind of sat around, but I did the things that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Because there were times where I felt like I couldn't even do the things that I wanted to do because I let myself be like, man, I'm so tired. Man, I don't feel good. Man, I just want to lay around. And then I would go do that. And then I would feel like shit for just laying around for 8 hours a day.
Yeah.
Like that last time I didn't come over here with you guys because I was all beat up from the day before. And I was tired. And I hated myself because I just laid on the couch for 8 hours. I did not move for 8 hours. And then I was like, I felt bad for not coming over here and spending time with you guys. And it was just all of that. I let that eat me up, you know, and then. So I've chose not to do that anymore. I've chose not to think that way, not to be
That's
that
all
way.
that it is. At the
And
end of the
it
day.
is it is one of those things. Like, you can literally just think and say, no more. No
That's all
more.
that it is. It's just a decision.
Yep.
As soon as you decide this is how it's going to be, it's no longer this way. It's this way.
And I would have
it's already
said,
everything's said and done.
the way that I felt, I would have told anybody that you're crazy for telling me that that's what could work. Because I will tell her all the time. Literally, I've tried everything. I feel like I've tried everything, and I did, except for the one thing that's actually going to work. Me
Changing
deciding that I'm going to be better. I'm
Yeah.
okay. Like, everything's cool, dude. You're not like sinking. The world's not crumbling. The sky's not falling. You're not dying. You're good, bro. Like, there are people in the world that are going through things where they would chop off one of their feet to be in the position that I'm in. Because they've got this going on, that going on, the third. Like, I'm good. I'm not dying. For my relativity, I'm healthy. I don't have any, like, you know, crazy things going on.
It's getting better every day. Every
And it
day,
was just-
something better comes
So,
about it.
and literally, the words have been spoken in this room so much tonight, but the manifesting of it has really, I'm starting to see the effects of manifesting that thought process. It feels like I am putting that into the computer and it's coming out of the printer, and it's just like, wow, so simple, but you would
Like, why
never
the fuck
think
didn't
that.
I do this 4 years ago? 'Cause this is awesome. But at the same time, you're like, it can't be that simple. It's got to be more difficult because that's
It's
what
not.
you're used to thinking of. Like, oh, this is a uphill battle trying to get anything done. It's never getting any better. This is miserable. But in reality, all that it was is
Because
making the decision. And
All I
sticking
was
to it.
doing was sitting there and thinking about how hard it was, and I don't have the answers, and I don't know what to do.
Yeah.
When, like you said, I had all the pieces. All I had to do was just say, hey, that's it. I'm not doing it no more.
Well, Lainey's about to stand up and walk out of here.
No, I was about to close it out.
Oh, okay. I was about to say. She's ready to go.
If you've made it this far,
Long
thank
podcast.
you. Comment below a plus sign and a brain emoji for a positive mindset. If you're listening and you've made it this far and you think this message wasn't for you, it probably was for you.
Yeah, because I would have said that this wasn't for me. Oh, I
Right.
don't need to hear that. Oh, I don't need.
If
I was there.
you've
I was
had
you.
moments you're like, oh, that's not me, it probably was, and it probably is for you. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't. Like, comment anything that you want us to either give advice about, questions that you've had about this, or there's just something else that you want us to touch on for you guys. I know this is a long one, but thanks for sticking around.